Welcome to Infinite Novel Audio. If you love epic fantasy, thrilling adventures, and immersive audiobook stories, you're in the right place. Before we begin, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Also, be sure to check out my other channel, AI Otaku Studio, for even more amazing AI-powered and anime-inspired content.
Chapter 100. The round-faced bearded man appears again. Tang San completely froze. How could there be no one in the entire continent who could cure it? If that were really the case, how much longer could Dad live dragging such a crippled body? No, I can cure you, Dad. I will definitely cure you. He didn't know why the medical arts of this world were so utterly useless, but since ancient times, medicine and poison were of the same origin. Dad's injury was not a difficult task for him. It was just that the required materials were very precious. Moreover, this world was no longer the world of his past life, and whether those materials existed remained an unknown. Therefore, he actually couldn't be certain whether he could cure Dad. However, no matter the result, he had to give Dad enough hope, because hope had a certain suppressive effect on the illness. Tang Hao sat up, as if he hadn't heard what Tang San said. He spoke to himself. According to my original estimate, I should have been able to live until you grew up, but after today's battle, I'm afraid it will be difficult. Dad, I'm sorry. Tang San's face was full of shame, and he involuntarily lowered his head. He originally thought he wouldn't regret it, but after discovering that Dad had been reduced to such a state because of this, a trace of regret bred in the bottom of his heart. If it weren't for him, Dad shouldn't have become like this. There's no need to apologize. If you can wake up to reality, then my injury hasn't been suffered in vain. I'm only afraid that you still haven't woken up to reality by now. Tang Hao looked at his son with a serious face. Dad, Tang San still wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Tang Hao raising his hand. Love is mutual. Love that gets no feedback is worthless. You treat her like this, but have you ever seen her show even a shred of mercy toward us? Today, Tang Hao was determined to set his son straight. He just didn't know that the ink-black bad luck between his eyebrows was spreading towards his whole body, and their father and son's misfortune for the day was not yet over. Encountering Ming was merely an inevitability within coincidence. But, Tang Hao interrupted again, there are no buts. Little San, you must remember, a man must absolutely never let a woman control your emotions. Especially a woman who doesn't love you. Whenever you find a woman capable of controlling your emotions, no matter how much you love her, you must make a cut as soon as possible. Otherwise, what awaits you will definitely be an incomparably tragic ending. Hearing this, Tang San instantly fell silent. Everyone understands the reasoning, and it's very simple to say, but actually doing it is another matter entirely. Just like how he wanted to agree to Dad, it only required opening his mouth, yet he didn't know whether he could actually do it. Dad, I remember it. Tang San thought about it and finally decided to agree first. After all, given Dad's current state, he couldn't withstand any stimulation. As for whether he could actually do it, they would talk about it later. Yo, little darling, what a coincidence. A familiar voice suddenly sounded, causing Tang San to violently turn his head. Even Tang Hao hadn't perceived the other party's arrival in advance. Nothing else, simply because his old illness, and the backlash brought by the ring explosion, erupted at the same time. Tang Hao looked towards the source of the sound, only to see a round-faced bearded man and a tall and thin man walking out of the jungle, looking at their father and son with smiles. It's you. Tang San abruptly stood up, gazing at the two with a gloomy look in his eyes, looking like he wished he could slice the two into 1,000 pieces. Seeing this, Tang Hao also stood up, dragging his crippled body. Although he didn't know the two, from his son's expression, it wasn't hard to judge that the two were enemies, and he also recalled what Xiaogang had said back then. These two people should be the main culprits who caused Zhao Wuji's demise back then. Daring to bully the son of Tang Hao, you really don't know whether you're living or dying. Tang Hao struck first to gain the upper hand, directly reporting his identity in an attempt to scare the two away with his reputation. Because given his current state, even if he could defeat the two, he would have to pay a considerable price. Tang Hao, you are the clear sky Douluo. The tall and thin man's heart gave a violent shock, looking at Tang Hao with a face full of disbelief. The person on the verge of death before his eyes was actually the ruthless expert who wiped out the former supreme pontiff of the Spirit Hall. How could this be? Who on earth was Tang Hao? That was the youngest titled Douluo in the history of the Spirit Master's world. How could he possibly look like this half-dead ghost? No way, big bro, you actually believe it. The round-faced bearded man looked at the tall and thin man beside him with a shocked expression. No matter how wanted Tang Hao was, he was still a titled Douluo. How could this heavily injured fellow looking like a beggar before them be Tang Hao? The tall and thin man ignored him, minding his own business as he looked Tang Hao up and down. Seeing this, Tang Hao already had the clear sky hammer in hand, but not a single spirit ring surfaced. The exploded spirit rings could not be recondensed in a short period of time. If he released his spirit rings now, there would only be the 7th and 9th spirit rings. A 100,000-year spirit ring might bluff people, but the quantity of only 2 would instead produce the opposite effect. Hee. The tall and thin man's gaze fell upon the clear sky hammer, yet he let out a sneer. You might truly be the clear sky Douluo, but if you truly had the certainty to defeat us, you wouldn't be standing there striking a pose. Seeing this, Tang Hao's expression inevitably sank. The tall and thin man held his right hand horizontally, taking his spear spirit into his hand, and 8 spirit rings rose one by one from beneath his feet. The mistakes we committed will not be pardoned by you just because we let you go today. It's better to take advantage of your heavy injuries to completely settle this karma. Just right, I haven't tasted the flavor of a titled Douluo yet. Look at this magnificent scenery. If we are in this desolate wilderness, using the sky as our quilt and the earth as our bed, wouldn't it be joyous? Hearing this, the round-faced bearded man couldn't help laughing heartily on the spot. Tang San unconsciously clenched his fists tight, and the look in his eyes when he looked at the two again was as if he were looking at dead men. Dad's strength aside for the moment, his teacher had already helped him obtain a large amount of the required materials through the Spirit Hall, and he had also manufactured many powerful hidden weapons. In a frontal clash he might not match the two, but assisting Dad in taking them down would still be no problem. Hearing this, however, Tang Hao was stunned. Using the sky as a quilt and the earth as a bed. What kind of ghost talk is this? Someone who didn't know would think they weren't father and son, but mother and daughter. Could it be? As if suddenly thinking of something, Tang Hao abruptly turned his head to look at his son. Could his own son have been? Whether it was Xiaogang or Little San, neither had ever told him what the two had actually done to Little San, and he had never thought in this direction. Now, thinking of this possibility instantly filled him with towering rage. You guys are courting death. Tang Hao glared fiercely at the two, squeezing a few icy words out from between his teeth, and then his figure abruptly rushed toward the two. Retreat! With a sharp shout, the tall and thin man and the round-faced bearded man retreated in 2 different directions respectively. At the same time, the tall and thin man's 7th spirit ring suddenly flashed, surging spirit power violently exploded within his body, and his physique continuously expanded. In the blink of an eye, he had transformed into a 30-meter-tall black avatar, holding a long spear. Chapter 101, Taking Tang San to Command Tang Hao. The moment the spirit and spirit rings of the round-faced bearded man emerged, he simultaneously poured his spirit power into his 5th, 6th, and 7th spirit rings. His body also rapidly expanded to a height of over 20 meters. A large pink flower bloomed in front of the manifestation's chest, releasing a layer of pink light screen that spread outwards, interspersed with even brighter wisps of pink halo. Facing the 2 people retreating to the left and right, Tang Hao chose the round-faced bearded man without hesitation. The strength of a spirit Douluo might be greater, but the spirit of the round-faced bearded man looked like a support type at a glance. So prioritizing him was inevitable. 5th spirit ability, Spear Shadows Like Clouds. Before Tang Hao rushed in front of the round-faced bearded man, a stern shout came from behind him, sounding like a reminder or perhaps a threat from the tall and thin man. The tall and thin man thrust his spear forward, and countless spear shadows swept overwhelmingly toward Tang Hao to kill him, blocking all of his retreats. Right now, Tang San, who had been prepared long ago, suddenly flicked his right hand at the very moment the tall and thin man made his move, and the hair-thin dragon beard needle broke through the air. Whoosh! Almost at the same time, Tang Hao, who had not yet rushed close to the round-faced bearded man, was forced to fall back to defend. He turned his body around, and while retreating, continuously waved the clear sky hammer in his hand. Bang, bangs, bang! Every time Tang Hao destroyed a spear shadow, a huge explosion-like sound would burst into the air. Spear shadows like clouds was merely the fifth spirit ability of the tall and thin man. This spirit ability excelled in its large coverage area, but its power was only mediocre. It wasn't too troublesome for Tang Hao to deal with, it just delayed his steps. Caught completely off guard, the tall and thin man was hit squarely by Tang San's dragon beard needle. The dragon beard needle was non-toxic, but the moment it pierced the flesh, it would curl and twist, tearing muscles and meridians, making it extremely difficult to be extracted. Even though the tall and thin man was a powerful spirit Douluo, for a moment, the pain caused his figure to stagger. That 30-meter giant manifestation became even more illusory, and was almost beaten back to its original form directly by that needle of Tang San. However, almost was still just falling a bit short. Brat, you're courting death. Sensing that he had been insulted, the tall and thin man abruptly turned around and killed straight toward Tang San. Little San. Tang Hao's expression changed drastically in shock, and no longer caring about whether it was support or not, he immediately chased after him. At this very moment, the area of effect spirit ability of the round-faced bearded man had completely finished spreading, enveloping everyone present within it. So fast. While Tang San was shocked by the speed of the tall and thin man, he executed the ghost shadow perplexing track to retreat, and at the same time, his pupils were also stained with a layer of purple. But just after retreating a few steps, he felt a wave of dizziness. Bang! The huge spear shaft suddenly swept across Tang San's chest, blasting his petite body away like a golf ball. Soaring in the air, Tang San flew dozens of meters before slamming heavily onto the ground, rolling another dozen meters before stabilizing his figure. Having stopped, he lay there motionless, as if he were dead. Little San. Tang Hao let out a heart-rending roar, lifted the clear sky hammer, and killed toward the tall and thin man. However, his vision seemed to be somewhat blurred, and several consecutive hammers smashed into thin air. But after all, he was a titled Douluo. In just an instant, Tang Hao's powerful mental force dispersed the influence brought by the spirit ability of the round-faced bearded man. Hey! Tang Hao looked towards the source of the sound, only to see that the round-faced bearded man had arrived by his son's side at some unknown time and was pinching his son's neck. The round-faced bearded man smiled maliciously. His little life is now within a single thought of mine, yo. Damn it! Tang Hao was furious, but he dared not act rashly and could only issue a threat verbally. If you dare to touch a single hair of his, I guarantee that even if you escape to the ends of the earth, I will never let you go. The tall and thin man, who was already somewhat struggling to sustain himself, seeing that his good brother had caught Tang Hao's weakness, immediately cancelled his spirit true body state. He clutched his abdomen with a face full of pain. The tall and thin man tried to force out the hidden weapons in his body, only to find that the damned hidden weapons had completely intertwined with his muscles and meridians. It was completely impossible to force it out relying on spirit power. Unable to bear the pain, he fiercely smashed his spear towards Tang Hao's head. Hey! Tang Hao still wanted to dodge, but the round-faced bearded man suddenly spoke up, causing him to hesitate for a second. Bang! A second of hesitation was exchanged for a critical spear strike, and Tang Hao was instantly flipped to the ground with a lash. The tall and thin man's enraged strike was no light matter. Tang Hao only felt his head buzzing, and his vision also became somewhat blurred for a few moments. Puff! Before he could react, the tall and thin man fiercely thrust his spear through his lower abdomen. Feeling the pain, Tang Hao let out a low moan, but forcefully suppressed the urge to scream miserably. The tall and thin man flicked hard, and Tang Hao's body was instantly sent flying, tumbling 2.5 turns in the air before heavily crashing onto the ground. The dignified clear sky Douluo was actually humiliated like this by a mere spirit Douluo. This made Tang Hao involuntarily clench his fists, his gaze as fierce as a murderer's. His continuously rising anger was nearly about to devour his sanity. At this moment, he inexplicably gave birth to an impulse to disregard his son's life or death, risking the drop from his titled status just to kill the opponent. "I am in a lot of pain right now, and all of this was caused by your son." The tall and thin man's long spear pressed against Tang Hao's throat, while his left hand dropped down to untie his belt, letting his pants fall limply to his ankles. "If you don't want your son to die, obediently come over and relieve my pain." Tang Hao's pupils shrank abruptly. This damned fellow actually wanted him to. Bastard. Who was he? He was the son of the Clear Sky sect master, and he was the youngest titled Douluo in the history of the Spirit Master's world. How could he possibly do that kind of thing just to survive ignobly? Seeing this, the round-faced bearded man on the other side also cooperated, continuously applying force with his hands, forcefully pinching Tang San awake. Awakening, Tang San struggled continuously because he couldn't breathe fresh air, but his insignificant strength simply couldn't break free from the restraint. Until the round-faced bearded man eased his strength a little bit, Tang San, who finally breathed fresh air, gradually saw the current situation clearly. "Dad!" Seeing the clothes on Dad's lower abdomen that were already soaked in blood, and the actions of the tall and thin man's, Tang San's pupils contracted violently. Damn it! How could they treat his dad like this? "Bastards, if you have the ability, come at me, don't hurt my dad." Tang San's eyes were scarlet, and blue veins bulged all over his body. He absolutely would not allow his dad to suffer such humiliation right before his eyes. Hearing his son's voice, Tang Hao involuntarily clenched his fists. He didn't dare turn his head to look at his son. He was afraid that after seeing his son, he would soften his heart and compromise. He, Tang Hao, would rather die than ever be willing to endure such humiliation. Seeing that no one paid attention to him, Tang San couldn't help shouting loudly to his dad, "Dad, don't worry about me, kill them." Chapter 102, Tang Hao Realm Drops. Have you thought it through? If I cripple you, do you still have any room to resist? Tall and thin man wore a threatening expression. He could completely cripple Tang Hao and play with him slowly, but that wouldn't be very interesting. What he wanted was for a titled Douluo to submit to his tyrannical might. Before Tang Hao could speak, a scream suddenly came over, causing both of them to look sideways. However, they saw that Tang San had already broken free from the restraint of round-faced bearded man, and the latter was rolling on the ground, with a ferocious face clutching his waist. It turned out, although round-faced bearded man choked Tang San's throat, he failed to restrain his hands, allowing him to find an opportunity to take out poison needles from the storage spirit tool. Tang San made a backhanded strike with a poison needle, directly plunging it into his waist. Seeing this, Tang Hao's figure burst backward. Tall and thin man, whose pants had fallen to his ankles, had no time to pursue. The only thing he could do was use force in his legs to snap the pants. Tang Hao, who had retreated to a safe distance, instantly released his last 2 spirit rings. Explode! A stern shout containing endless anger rang out. The black spirit ring on his body suddenly exploded, followed closely by the red spirit ring. However, the performance after the 2 spirit rings exploded was completely different. After the black spirit ring exploded, it turned into specks of halo and merged into the clear sky hammer in his hand, causing the clear sky hammer to suddenly swell into a giant hammer. As for that red spirit ring, after it exploded, it turned into specks of red halo and dissipated in the air. The ring explosion not long ago had already caused his old injuries to flare up, and at this moment, exploding rings once again, he finally could no longer maintain his titled strength. He dropped to the spirit Douluo level. Die for me. With a stern shout from Tang Hao, the huge clear sky hammer suddenly crashed down towards Tall and Thin Man's head. Because snapping his pants delayed some time, Tall and Thin Man had no time to dodge at this moment, and could only hold his long spear horizontally to block. How could the clear sky hammer blessed by ring explosion be something a mere spirit Douluo like Tall and Thin Man could block? Even though Tang Hao only exploded one ring. The giant hammer fell, and the terrifying impact followed closely. Tall and Thin Man couldn't even block it for a second before he and his spear together were smashed into the ground. Thoroughly dead. Cough, cough. After Tang Hao confirmed that Tall and Thin Man was dead, his entire body suddenly couldn't help coughing violently, and warm blood spewed from his mouth along with the coughs. Dad! Tang San, who successfully killed the fake dad, rushed over and grabbed the crumbling Tang Hao. Dad, are you all right? Go back. Tang Hao instructed breathlessly, and then his head tilted and he passed out. Dad! Tang San shouted heart-rendingly. Anyone who didn't know would have thought Tang Hao was dead. Dad, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have become like this. I'm sorry. Tang San kept apologizing to the unconscious Tang Hao, but how could Tang Hao, who had completely passed out, hear his apology? Slap! After a moment, Tang San fiercely slapped himself. What on earth am I doing? Perhaps that slap woke him up, so Tang San hurriedly carried Tang Hao on his back and walked with heavy steps towards Shrek Academy. That's right. Tang Hao was injured to this extent, yet his first thought was not to find a nearby city to rent a carriage and rush back quickly. Instead, he planned to carry Tang Hao on his back and walk back slowly. It wasn't that Tang San didn't know that a carriage was faster than his current speed, but rather that he didn't know how to loot corpses, and thus couldn't afford the money to rent a carriage at all. Lin Chen was unaware of the encounters of Tang Hao and his son. Day after day, he stayed in Heaven Do City to cultivate and farm rewards. More than 3 years quietly passed. Whether it was because the system started slacking off, or because Lin Chen hadn't contacted any titled Douluo in the past 3 years or so, he couldn't farm even a single rank of spirit power. As his spirit power rank grew higher and higher, his cultivation speed also showed a clear decline. From rank 46 to 50, it took him a full year and a half. After absorbing the 5th spirit ring, he directly reached rank 55. And from rank 55 to 60, he even used a little over 2 full years. Lin Chen's current physique and mental force had both reached the spirit Douluo level, enough to withstand a 6th spirit ring of around 80,000 years. There were very few 80,000-year spirit beasts in Sunset Forest, so he came to the Stardew Great Forest. Lin Chen got off the carriage, stood by the vehicle, and gazed at the primitive jungle not far away, a trace of an arc involuntarily hooking up at the corner of his mouth. At only 12 years old, Lin Chen's height had already reached 1.95 meters. The childishness on his face had completely faded away, and he had grown into a handsome young man. The curved corner of his mouth brought him a bit of a refined ruffian temperament. 6th ring, here I come. Lin Chen muttered in his heart with quite a bit of anticipation, and then took steps to walk towards the nearby Stardew Great Forest. After entering the Stardew Great Forest, his figure suddenly burst out, heading straight for the depths of the jungle. At this time, Lin Chen was like Gui Mei. Ordinary people couldn't see his figure at all, and all they could see were illusory afterimages. Various 100-year, 1,000-year, and 10,000-year spirit beasts constantly brushed past him. Not knowing how long had passed, Lin Chen had already arrived at the zone inhabited by spirit beasts of over 50,000 years. This place was already very close to the core area. Lin Chen stopped going deeper and began searching horizontally. There were many famous spirit beasts in the Stardew Great Forest, but besides the numerous spirit beasts of over 100,000 years, the dark demonic evil god tiger was the best. Furthermore, the dark demonic evil god tiger also possessed the thunder attribute. It's just that Lin Chen remembered it was only a bit over 60,000 years old, which didn't quite fit his needs. If he chose it for his 6th ring, let alone spirit abilities, being short 20,000 years of age, he would lose at least 1 or 2 ranks of spirit power. Therefore, if possible, Lin Chen still wanted to find an 80,000-year spirit beast that matched in all aspects. It's just that spirit beasts at the 80,000-year tier were already relatively rare, and those matching in all aspects were even scarcer. Whether he could find it or not would depend on luck. After several rounds of sunrises and sunsets, Lin Chen even encountered a dark demonic evil god tiger once, but still failed to find a spirit beast that satisfied all aspects. However, he was not in a hurry. Wanting to find the most matching spirit beast was inherently an extremely time-consuming matter. Good food is worth waiting for, after all. Unconsciously, Lin Chen had already searched in the Stardew Great Forest for a full half-month. Raw. Just as Lin Chen was about to give up and wanted to go back to find the dark demonic evil god tiger, a deafening roar suddenly exploded in his ears. Rumble. Just as that angry roar faded, a deafening rumble of thunder followed, accompanied by the violent power of the thunder element. Without looking, one could tell that the owner of that voice must be a powerful thunder-type spirit beast. It's just unknown whether its age was enough. Lin Chen's figure shot out, heading straight towards the direction where the sound came from. Chapter 103, When the Dragon and Tiger Fight, the Fisherman Profits. No bro, how did you run ahead of me? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Lin Chen stared dumbfounded at the two beasts in the distance. That was a dragon-like spirit beast over 10 meters long, pitch black all over, with a single horn on its head and dense lightning crawling across its body. As for the other one, it was none other than the dark demonic evil god tiger he had seen not long ago. The dark demonic evil god tiger was clearly behind him, but somehow it had run ahead of him and even started fighting his target spirit beast. Watching the fierce battle not far away, a trace of contemplation appeared on Lin Chen's face. He didn't care much for the spirit ring of the dark demonic evil god tiger, but the evil god bead hidden inside the dark demonic evil god tiger made his heart race immensely. That was a divine artifact after all. In the original work, Tang San let it escape due to a moment of carelessness, and later it fled into another world created by third young master, becoming the protagonist's golden finger. How could Lin Chen not be tempted by such a supreme treasure? Now that the situation of the dragon and tiger fighting had appeared, it was precisely the time for him to sit back and reap the fisherman's profits. Little Loach, you must do your best. Looking at that profound thunder jiao, Lin Chen silently cheered it on in his heart. Roar! The profound thunder jiao suddenly let out a roar, and the lightning around its body broke away from it, transforming into streaks of thunder that assaulted and killed the dark demonic evil god tiger. Awu! Refusing to show weakness, the dark demonic evil god tiger also let out a tiger roar, spitting out a thick, black thunder pillar from its mouth. Rumble! Lightning inherently contained destructive power. When the two bolts of thunder collided, they immediately erupted with terrifying energy shockwaves, reducing everything around them to ashes. That terrifying shockwave simultaneously blew the two beasts dozens of meters away. Those seemingly sturdy trees appeared somewhat vulnerable in front of the scent-flying beasts, snapping more than a dozen of them in succession. However, the two beasts were also tough-hided. Having snapped so many large trees, they acted like nothing had happened to them, not even suffering any superficial injuries. Whether they had internal injuries was unclear. The two beasts quickly grappled together again. The profound thunder jiao, which clearly had a higher age, faintly fell into a disadvantage when facing the dark demonic evil god tiger, which was only a little over 60,000 years old. This left Lin Chen clicking his tongue in amazement. He could only say that it truly lived up to the name of the dark demonic evil god tiger, saying that it could contend with ordinary 100,000-year spirit beasts was truly not an exaggeration at all. When Lin Chen looked at the profound thunder jiao once more, a trace of disdain inexplicably arose in his eyes. He suddenly felt that being lower by 20,000 years might not necessarily be a bad thing. At least the power of the obtained spirit ability might not be weaker than an 80,000-year one. It would merely have slightly less spirit power. Moreover, the dark demonic evil god tiger possessed the ability to devour and evolve. Once it devoured this profound thunder jiao, its age would definitely increase further. However, there was one point that made Lin Chen somewhat curious. It was still a long time away from the timeline when Tang San encountered it in the original work. Logically speaking, it shouldn't have reached 60,000 years yet. The dark demonic evil god tiger was already at 60,000 years now, and if it devoured another 80,000-year spirit beast, it couldn't possibly fail to even increase by 10,000 years, right? In other words, after the dark demonic evil god tiger devoured that profound thunder Jiao, its age would at the very least reach 70,000 years, or even higher. This was somewhat inconsistent with the information of the original work. He had only come to the Stardew Great Forest for the first time, so the butterfly effect shouldn't reach all the way here, right? Was the system exerting its force? Or was some divinity above paying attention to him and wanted to pass down the god position legacy to him? Forget it, why think so much? Anyway, no matter which situation it wasn't a bad thing for him. Lin Chen smiled slightly, stopped letting his imagination run wild, and began to quietly watch the dragon and tiger fight in the distance, waiting for the moment of harvest to arrive. The battle situation quickly changed. The dark demonic evil god tiger and the profound thunder Jiao, which were originally fighting exceptionally fiercely, suddenly vanished out of thin air from their spot following a tiger roar from the dark demonic evil god tiger. The arena of life and deaths. Having read the original work, Lin Chen guessed the reason at a glance. It must be that the dark demonic evil god tiger had pulled the profound thunder Jiao into the arena of life and death. He just hadn't expected that entering the arena of life and death would be with their physical bodies. Lin Chen had always thought it was a soul-side spirit ability. But that made sense too. The dark demonic evil god tiger possessed spatial and temporal attributes, so entering with the physical body and then reverting to youth was the reasonable scenario. Lin Chen waited quietly. The profound thunder Jiao was 20,000 years higher than the dark demonic evil god tiger, and still wasn't its match, so placing them at the same age left even less room for suspense. In just about a minute, the two beasts reappeared. The dark demonic evil god tiger was still that same dark demonic evil god tiger, with not even many injuries on its body, whereas the profound thunder Jiao was somewhat done for. It was done for in the truest sense of the word, the kind without a shred of vital breath. Zra! After defeating its enemy, the dark demonic evil god tiger let out a long howl towards the sky, as if declaring to all directions that it had won this battle. In reality, that wasn't the case. It was actually warning the surrounding spirit beasts nearby, wanting to convey its state to them through its robust voice. Only then would they not dare to come and disturb it while it devoured the loach before it. Neither the dead profound thunder Jiao nor the dark demonic evil god tiger detected Lin Chen's aura on a large tree 1,000 meters away. That was not because they were too weak, but because of a unique skill Lin Chen had rolled out. Concealing Edge completely conceals one's own auras, including mental force and spirit power. Even a titled Douluo cannot perceive you if separated by only a wall. As long as Lin Chen did not circulate his spirit power and wasn't seen, no one could detect him. It was precisely because of this unique skill that his mental force, which far surpassed his peers, had not been detected by anyone up to now. As for before acquiring the unique skill, at that time, although his mental force was already very strong, it wasn't as outrageous as it was now, so it didn't arouse too much suspicion. At least titled Douluos like Dugubo and Yu Guan didn't ask much about it. Having warned the surrounding spirit beasts, the dark demonic evil god tiger began to devour the profound thunder Jiao. Spirit power, physical body, and so on all transformed into nutrients, being completely devoured by it. During this process, the aura and body of the dark demonic evil god tiger experienced a skyrocketing surge, reaching the 70,000-year tier in just over 10 minutes. Furthermore, the energy of the profound thunder Jiao didn't seem to be exhausted yet, and its strength continued to climb. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, silently climbed down the large tree, and stealthily reached a distance that the breathless instant shadow kill could reach. He needed to instantly kill the dark demonic evil god tiger at the appropriate timing. Perhaps with his current strength, a head-on confrontation might not fail to take down the dark demonic evil god tiger, but after all, there were certain risks involved. In this perilous Stardew Great Forest, it was hardly suitable to hone any practical combat experience. If he messed up and slipped up, it would cost him his life. Although the system was powerful, it wasn't powerful enough to make him fearless of death. One had to be steady as a person, and absolutely could not get carried away. After about half an hour, the strength of the dark demonic evil god Tiger finally stepped into 80,000 years. It was precisely at that instant that Lin Chen moved. He didn't know if the dark demonic evil god Tiger had completely digested the energy of the profound Thunder Jiao. He only knew that if it went any higher, he wouldn't be able to handle it. Chapter 104, Dark Demonic Evil God Bead. An unparalleled sense of crisis suddenly struck, and the dark demonic evil god Tiger abruptly woke up. Puff! A long whip carrying the violent power of thunder pierced through its heart, and the thunder power carried on the whip exploded within its body, blasting its heart to smithereens. The muscle strength of a spirit beast far exceeded that of humans. Lin Chen was not sure whether an ordinary longsword could pierce through its muscle layer, so he chose to launch a surprise attack with his spirit, which was why it had noticed him in advance. However, the dark demonic evil god Tiger, whose mind and body were entirely focused on digesting energy, was simply unable to make an instantaneous reaction, which gave Lin Chen a chance for a one-hit kill. A deep black spirit ring emerged from the dark demonic evil god Tiger, and simultaneously emerging with it was a black bead that radiated cyan and blue lights. Without any hesitation, Lin Chen grabbed it directly. Hum! A small black hole suddenly emerged, emitting a terrifying suction force, and the evil god bead held in Lin Chen's hand also began to struggle violently. Stop! That suction force was so terrifying that it almost caused Lin Chen to let go, but fortunately, he reacted in time and directly stored the evil god bead into the system backpack. The exact moment the evil god bead disappeared, that small black hole instantly collapsed. Two! Seeing this, Lin Chen finally breathed a sigh of relief. He pulled up the system backpack, and when his line of sight focused on the evil god bead, the introduction regarding the evil god bead instantly surfaced. Evil god bead, the natal bead of the dark demonic evil god, containing 6 major attributes: utmost evil, darkness, time, space, lightning, and wind. The 6 major attributes are all origin attributes bearing law brands. Fully refining them can achieve the evil god position, and integrating them into the spirit can urge the spirit to complete its ultimate leap. Good fellow, with both the evil god position and the ultimate leap of the spirit, I can only say it truly lives up to being a treasure that can serve as a protagonist's golden finger. Lin Chen beamed with joy. This time he had really scooped up a treasure. However, now was not the time to study it, so he closed the system backpack and cast his gaze toward the corpse of the dark demonic evil god Tiger. To be precise, it was the spirit ring on the corpse of the dark demonic evil god Tiger. Lin Chen looked around, then sat cross-legged in front of the dark demonic evil god Tiger's corpse, getting that black spirit ring to draw close to his own body. An 80,000-year spirit ring did not pose too much pressure for Lin Chen. His mental force and physique had already reached the spirit Douluo level, so 80,000 years made not much difference to him compared to absorbing a normal spirit ring. As the squeezing sensation and soul shock vanished, his rank began to soar, and at this very moment, the spirit ability information was also fed back into his mind. 6th spirit ability, Heavenly Thunder Whip transforms into Purple Divine Thunder, locking on and guaranteed to hit. The information was very simple, but those 2 terms, locking on and guaranteed to hit, were the best interpretations, and this type of spirit ability was also the rarest kind of spirit ability. Let's call it Heavenly Thunder Empowerment. With a single thought, Lin Chen determined the name of the spirit ability, and then opened his eyes. Rule: open the panel. Name: Lin Chen. Spirit: Heavenly Thunder Whip, Sword of Calamity. Rank: 65. Mental: 85. Physique: 88. Cultivation Technique: Ultimate Arts, click to expand. Although he was only at rank 65 now, his mental force and physique were already very close to level 90, which meant that his 7th ring would be able to withstand a 100,000-year spirit ring, possessing the advantage of twin spirits. Once able to withstand a 100,000-year spirit ring, his spirit power rank would be able to welcome a rapid increase, and a titled Douluo would merely be a matter of a few spirit rings. Moreover, once his mental force and physique reached level 90, it would mean that his speed, neural reflexes, and so on could all reach the titled level. Coupled with numerous overlimit spirit abilities and ultimate arts, his strength would definitely not be weaker than a titled one. By then, he could begin recklessly farming rewards, and the true plague, God of Calamity, was about to descend upon the Douluo Continent. I wonder how Zyro Wu is doing now. Not seeing her for a few years, I actually miss her quite a bit. Once I reach rank 70, I'll go take a look at her. Lin Chen revealed a meaningful smile, then put away the panel and stood up. He did not linger and quickly headed toward the outer perimeter. Leaving the Stardew Great Forest, Lin Chen hired a carriage to return to Heavendew City. Although Lin Chen's mental force and physique had already reached the Spirit Douluo level, his spirit power rank was ultimately only at the Spirit Emperor stage. That bit of spirit power was simply not enough to support him in flying directly to Heavendew City. However, he was not short on money, and the carriage he hired was the fastest one. At most half a month's time, he should be able to return to Heavendew City. Inside the carriage, Lin Chen once again pulled up the system backpack and pondered inwardly. With the system present, him becoming a god was not any problem. As long as he gathered the authority of Calamity and reached level 99, he could achieve the God of Calamity. As the saying goes, what the system produces must be of fine quality. The priority of the God of Calamity was definitely higher than that of the evil god, unless he could simultaneously achieve the god position of the God of Calamity and the evil god. Tongzi, can you do it? Lin Chen asked silently in his heart, but unfortunately the system did not give any response. Sigh. If this system were too intelligent, it would make one flustered, but if it wasn't intelligent enough, forget it, let's wait a bit longer. In the end, Lin Chen still suppressed the impulse to give his spirit an ultimate leap. Leaving it was, after all, a hope for the coexistence of dual gods, wasn't it? If all else failed, leaping before becoming a god wouldn't be too late either. Anyway, the quality of his spirit was already high enough. Lin Chen shook his head and closed the system backpack. Half a month later, when Lin Chen returned home, he found Yi Lingling helping him clean the courtyard. 4 years of getting along had made the relationship between the two much closer. Although they were still just friends, if they wanted to take a step further, it was not any difficult matter. It was just that a layer of window paper had yet to be poked through. You're back. Seeing Lin Chen on Yi Lingling's face, which was always icy cold toward outsiders, a brilliantly infectious smile suddenly emerged. In her eyes looking at Lin Chen, there was even an indescribable emotion flowing. Let's go enter the house, I've prepared a gift for you. Lin Chen walked close, snatched the broom from her hand and placed it aside, then took her hand and walked towards the interior of the house. Her small hand being held, Yi Lingling's face had no shyness. What she had instead was full curiosity. What gift is it? You'll know right away. Yi Lingling couldn't help but curl her lips, but the anticipation in her expression could be clearly seen. Entering the house, Lin Chen closed the room door. Yi Lingling couldn't help but widen her eyes straight. What kind of gift requires closing the door? He couldn't possibly be thinking of. No way, how can this be? He hasn't even confessed yet. What should I do? Should I refuse later? Will he get angry if I do that? 1,000 thoughts swirled in Yi Lingling's heart, and a blush uncontrollably climbed onto her face. What is this with you? Looking at Yi Lingling, whose face was flushed red, and who kept her head lowered not daring to look directly at him, Lin Chen was inevitably a bit dazed. Wasn't he just wanting to give a gift? Was there a need for such a huge reaction? No. Yi Lingling abruptly woke up, but her small face became even redder. Chapter 105, Confirming the Relationship's Spirit Evolution. Lin Chen did not think much of it. With a flip of his right hand, a blue plant appeared in his palm. It was none other than the blue-silver emperor, Yin. Although Yin's 100,000-year cultivation was gone, the blue-silver emperor bloodline was still there. It just needed time to recover. The system had given a hint about this point. Blue-silver emperor offshoot, grown from a seed condensed by the blue-silver emperor, it contains rich vitality. Consuming it can assist life-type plant spirits in evolution. No, everyone else gives flowers, why are you giving grass? When Yi Lingling saw Yin, she couldn't help but be a little dazed. Who gives grass to a girl? Isn't this lacking in sincerity way too much? However, this grass looked quite pretty. Although it was somewhat similar to blue-silver grass, the extra golden patterns on its stems and leaves added an indescribable sense of wonder to it. It also looked quite rare. Lin Chen smiled and said, "Don't look down on it. It's not ordinary grass, but a special plant with extremely rich vitality. Although I'm not sure if it can solve the spirit defect problem of your Yi family, I am certain that it can assist your spirit in completing a benign mutation." What? Yi Lingling abruptly raised her head, looking at Lin Chen with an incredulous face. Lin Chen just gave a faint smile. Seeing this, Yi Lingling couldn't help lowering her head repeatedly and looking at Yin once more. This plant could actually help her spirit complete a benign mutation. Wasn't this just too incredible? Weren't spirit mutations accidental and full of uncertainty? No, this is too precious. Regaining her senses, Yi Lingling refused without even thinking. Although she desperately desired a benign spirit mutation, the value of such an item was simply too high. To say nothing more, trading it for a high-age spirit bone was definitely not a difficult task. How could she accept such a precious thing? Lin Chen grabbed her hand and directly shoved Yin into it. "No one is more suitable for her than you. And my gift isn't given for free, you have to offer yourself in return." Yi Lingling couldn't help widening her eyes. Is this a confession? It should count as one, right? Looking at the breathtaking face close at hand, as well as those wide-open big Kazalan eyes, Lin Chen couldn't help kissing down. Facing this sudden assault, Yi Lingling's eyes widened even further. She instinctively wanted to push Lin Chen away, but just as that thought arose, Lin Chen's hand had already wrapped around her waist. At that very instant, the thought that had just arisen was instantly extinguished. He had confessed, so that was fine. Yi Lingling closed her eyes and clumsily responded. No, why is he so practiced? Gradually, Yi Lingling sensed something was wrong. Lin Chen was simply too practiced. So practiced that it didn't look like a first time at all. However, despite sensing something was amiss, Yi Lingling did not break the atmosphere. Instead, she intended to question him afterward. Soon, she immersed herself completely into it, until her breathing became truly difficult, and then she gently pushed Lin Chen away. Lin Chen raised his head, looking at her flushed cheeks. Full of embarrassment, Yi Lingling buried her face in his chest. Lin Chen smiled faintly, wrapping his left hand around her waist while gently stroking her hair with his right hand, a faint fragrance drifting into his nose amidst their breathing. That fragrance was very light and not pungent, making one feel exceptionally comfortable smelling it. Bad guy, why are you so practiced? Yi Lingling suddenly pinched Lin Chen and began to settle old scores. Lin Chen. Damn, I was careless. Ahem, that's a memory brought over from a past life. Lin Chen specialized in being sincere. Yi Lingling broke free from Lin Chen's embrace, glaring at Lin Chen with an indignant look. Do you take me for a fool? Saying that, she pointed her small hand, her eyes full of threat, but she somehow looked inexplicably cute. Speak, do you have other women? Lin Chen looked utterly innocent. Where would I even go to find other women? However, Yi Lingling's face showed complete disbelief. If there weren't other women, how could he be so adept? But since he was unwilling to say, if she continued to question him, the relationship they had just confirmed would probably fall apart instantly. Moreover, men having 3 wives and 4 concubines was nothing rare in this world. After all, spirits were passed down through the bloodline. Anyone whose spirit had slightly higher quality would pass down their spirit by marrying more wives and concubines. Weren't families and forces all passed down through this kind of legacy? However, you can have other women, but I must be the primary wife. Oh. Lin Chen looked at her in a daze. Was there such a good thing in this world? This damned feudal society. Fine, 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 you're big, you're the biggest. Lin Chen subconsciously lowered his head and glanced at the softness before her chest. It really was quite big. Get lost. Seeing this, Yi Lingling's small face instantly turned red, and she couldn't help giving him a push. Come on, I will act as your protector. Lin Chen's gaze fell on Ah Yin, forcibly skipping past this topic. How do I use it? Hearing this, Yi Lingling's expression gradually turned serious, except she didn't know how to use it, nor did she know if there were any specific requirements. Lin Chen said, bite it open and suck out the juice inside. Okay. Yi Lingling nodded and then sat cross-legged on the spot. She bit open Ah Yin's stem in one bite, and then sucked hard on the juice hidden within, which could also be called the essence of life. A large amount of life essence surged into her body, and her spirit spontaneously manifested. 3 spirit rings, yellow, yellow, and purple, subsequently appeared from beneath her. Lin Chen watched quietly, his gaze constantly concentrated on the 9-heart begonia. The 9-heart begonia was a pink begonia flower with bright colors and a graceful posture, composed of pinkish-white petals. It was worth mentioning that 9 stamens grew in the center of the petals. That was also the origin of the 9 hearts. Changes happened very quickly. Suddenly, little milk-white halos rose from the center of the 9-heart begonia, completely shrouding all the stamens in the blink of an eye. With just his naked eyes, Lin Chen couldn't see through the situation inside at all. To avoid bringing any negative impact, he suppressed the thought of releasing his mental force to perceive it, quietly waiting for the evolution to end. The evolution time was not long. In just about half an hour or so, the light wrapping around the stamens of the 9-heart begonia had completely dispersed. The stamens reappeared in Lin Chen's line of sight. However, the stamens at this moment were no longer 9, but a full 12. 12-heart begonia. Lin Chen stared in a daze at the 12 stamens in the center of the 9-heart begonia. After another moment, Yi Lingling finally opened her eyes. Lin Chen could clearly see a look of exhilaration in her eyes and on her face, showing that the spirit evolution must have brought her very clear feedback. It was just that the 9-heart begonia, which was already at the ceiling of healing spirits, could grow to what extent after undergoing an evolution now. Chapter 106, Anyway, I'll be the main wife. Yi Lingling raised her head to look at Lin Chen, the excitement and joy in her eyes completely dissipating, replaced only by endless gratitude and tenderness. She stood up, took a step forward, and proactively offered a sweet kiss. Lin Chen was stunned for a moment, and then responded enthusiastically. A breeze blew outside the room, but it could not dispel the warmth inside. Lin Chen's hands involuntarily began to wander over her body. Her body clearly stiffened. Yi Lingling lowered her head to interrupt the kiss, burying her face into his chest, implicitly stopping his actions. I'm not ready yet. Her voice was as faint as a mosquito's, but Lin Chen, who was close at hand, heard it very clearly. Subconscious reaction. Lin Chen gently stroked her hair, defending himself with a slightly awkward excuse. He knew that if he insisted, he could definitely break through that step, but he didn't want to use such a nearly coercive method to make her helplessly compromise. Hearing this, Yi Lingling raised her head with complex emotions. Lin Chen respected her greatly, which made her feel incomparably happy, yet she was afraid that her rejection would make him feel uncomfortable. Just as she was wondering if she shouldn't be so selfish. After your spirit evolved, were there any changes? Lin Chen's sudden question caused Yi Lingling to instantly cast aside all stray thoughts, her entire person suddenly becoming excited. She pulled out of Lin Chen's embrace, her face full of excitement. There are huge changes. Although it is still only having a single spirit ability, no matter how many spirit rings are attached, the effect of this spirit ability has been greatly enhanced. No matter how heavily injured the target is, as long as they still have a breath left, this spirit ability of mine can instantly restore them to their peak state. Rebirth of severed limbs is not a difficult task either. It's just that if the target is a group, the healing effect will weaken according to the number, and it can only perfectly heal up to 3 people simultaneously. Lin Chen widened his eyes in astonishment. Being able to restore to peak state as long as there is a breath left, and also perfectly healing 3 people at the same time. Isn't this a bit too outrageous? Are there no rank restrictions? Yilingeling shook her head. No, the increase in the number of spirit rings and rank will only raise the number of people perfectly healed, and has nothing to do with the target's rank. Lin Chen fell silent at once. Now the 9-heart begonia had truly become the number 1 spirit in the continent, the kind that no auxiliary spirit could compare with. With her around, wanting to die isn't easy at all. Lin Chen, thank you. Yilingeling suddenly looked at Lin Chen's face with a serious expression and said, "Why are you being so polite with me?" As Lin Chen smiled, his expression suddenly changed, becoming solemn and serious. "Do not tell anyone about this for now, including your family. When you need to use your spirit ability, it's best to hold back a little." The Yi family was not some small household of 3 or 5 people, but a prominent family that ranks high in Heaven Du City. No one knew how many spies from other factions were hidden up and down the Yi family. Once this matter spread, it would cause huge trouble. Before having the strength to contend with a titled Douluo, Lin Chen would not let her take this risk. Yilingeling nodded heavily, deeply aware that concealment was very necessary. Family members might not always be reliable sometimes. If it accidentally leaked out, it might drag the entire family into a dangerous situation. Has your spirit power increased? It increased a bit, but hasn't touched a bottleneck yet. Come and test it. With a flip of his hand, Lin Chen produced a spirit power testing crystal and handed it to her. Yilingeling extended her right hand and placed it on the crystal ball, and instantly a brilliant light burst forth. Ranks 39. Yin was not an immortal herb after all, only bringing 4 ranks of spirit power to Yilingeling, but this already made her extremely satisfied. After all, the spirit evolution was the key. Let's go out and celebrate. Okay, my treat. Lin Chen didn't care who was treating, and after putting away the crystal ball, he took her out the door. As soon as they stepped out of the courtyard, Yilingeling eagerly linked her arm with Lin Chen's, as if declaring sovereignty to passers-by. Half of her body leaned against Lin Chen, and he could clearly feel his arm being tightly wrapped by an indescribable softness. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. We have a spirit fight tomorrow. Do you want to go take a look? She turned her head to look at Lin Chen, her eyes flashing with a look of anticipation. Watching the spirit fight was fake. Wanting to announce their relationship to her partners was the real deal. All right, which academy are you facing? Lin Chen roughly guessed her thoughts, and naturally wouldn't ruin her mood. Yilingeling said, Tianshui Academy. Lin Chen paused in his steps and turned to look at her. You want me to watch a spirit fight between you and a women's academy? Aren't you afraid I'll be seduced away by someone else? Hearing this, Yilingeling turned her head away proudly. Anyway, I'll be the main wife. This damned feudal society. Lin Chen couldn't imagine in his wildest dreams that a woman could be generous to this extent. Of course, she might also be joking. The two walked intimately down the street. Yilingeling chattered happily, recounting some interesting things she had encountered and occasionally complaining about someone. Lin Chen listened quietly, occasionally chiming in to provide some emotional value. Right. Teacher Qin Meng said that in 2 months, he will take us to see what a true genius is. Yilingeling said, as if suddenly remembering something. Lin Chen. If he guessed correctly, the true geniuses in Qin Ming's mouth should be Tang San, and others cultivated by his alma mater, Shrek Academy, right? The time seemed about right too. Du Guyan had already stepped into the spirit ancestor realm. Facing an enhanced version of Duguyan, how could Qin Ming still dare to talk about any true geniuses? It seemed he had a lot of confidence in his alma mater, didn't he? What *T true genius? No matter how much of a genius they are, can they possibly be more of a genius than you? Yilingeling said with great displeasure. Although she didn't know Lin Chen's exact rank right now, even Du Guyan at the spirit ancestor realm couldn't beat him before he hunted his spirit ring. Now that he had returned from hunting his spirit ring, at the very least he was a spirit ancestor, and even a spirit king was not impossible. Let's not mention spirit kings for now. A 12-year-old spirit ancestor had no recorded precedent, even looking across the entire history of spirit masters. She didn't believe Qin Ming could find a spirit master more of a genius than Lin Chen. Lin Chen smiled. There's nothing wrong with that statement. If I didn't have a talent that surpasses the continent, I wouldn't be worthy of being your man. Hearing this, Yilingeling's little face turned red, and she hurriedly made a correction. It's boyfriend. They hadn't even done that yet. How could he be called her man? All right, boyfriend. Lin Chen just smiled and didn't mind the minor difference. Hee. Yilingeling couldn't help letting out a silly chuckle, leaning her head against his shoulder. Right here, how about it? Walking along, Lin Chen suddenly stopped in front of a restaurant. Okay. Yilingeling didn't mind either. Where they ate and what they ate didn't matter. What mattered was who they were eating with. Chapter 107, Heaven Du Imperial Academy. The next day, early morning. Outside the gates of the Heaven Du Imperial Academy, carriages came and went in an endless stream, and countless noble youths rode in luxurious carriages to the academy gates, which were comparable to a cage. No matter what world it is, no one wants to go to school, and the Douluo Continent is no exception. Especially these noble youths. The days when they didn't go to school were colorful, but once they arrived at the academy, only dry cultivation and study awaited them. Even spirit fights had no great significance to them. The Yi family's carriage also stopped in the square in front of the academy gates, and Lin Chen and Yilingeling stepped down from the carriage one after another. At that very moment, countless noble youths stopped to watch. Yilingeling had always worn a veil in the academy, so very few people in the entire academy knew her specific appearance. Yet today she was not wearing a veil. Her peerless divine countenance was fully revealed at this moment, and even the many noble youths who were accustomed to seeing all kinds of beauties were fiercely amazed. However, the next second they fell into despair. They saw Yilingeling affectionately holding a man's arm, resting her head on his shoulder with a face full of happiness. Damn it! 2 words emerged involuntarily in the hearts of the many noble youths, and all of them looked at Lin Chen as if looking at an enemy. However, the cliched plot of someone stepping forward to mock or provoke did not happen. Which of those who could come to study at the Heaven Du Imperial Academy was not a Heaven Du noble? Even though they had never seen Lin Chen in the academy, since the other party came with Yilingeling, he certainly wouldn't be an ordinary person. The Yi family would never allow Yilingeling to find an ordinary person as a boyfriend. The other party was either a noble or a gifted genius. Furthermore, the Yi family itself was not a small family that could be bullied at will, and even with so much envy and jealousy, there had to be a limit. Bringing trouble to the family over this trivial matter would surely result in a severe beating upon returning. Let's go. Yilingeling didn't care about everyone's reaction and directly led Lin Chen toward the inside of the academy. As for Lin Chen, to be honest, seeing the envy, jealousy, and hatred on the faces of those boys, not only did he not lack life kai, but instead he inexplicably felt a secret thrill. A handsome man and a beautiful woman snuggling together formed a beautiful scenery wherever they went. Walking in the academy, the head-turning rate of the two along the way was close to 100%, and both men and women couldn't help taking a few extra glances at them. It was just that the target of their gaze was somewhat different. It seems you are quite popular. Yilingeling looked at Lin Chen, her tone carrying a slightly sour feeling. Those pairs of eyes looking at Lin Chen, wishing they could devour him alive on the spot, made her inexplicably regret bringing Lin Chen to the academy. Lin Chen smiled and said, "You are not bad either." HMPH. Yi Lingling gave a soft HMPH, no longer resting her head on his shoulder, and instead began to introduce the various buildings in the academy to him. The Heaven Du Imperial Academy truly lived up to being one of the 3 largest academies on the continent. Not only was the area vast, but the academy also set up various simulated cultivation environments, which could almost cover the needs of spirit masters. The spirit fight is in the afternoon. I will take you to meet Du Guyan and the others first, say hello to teacher Qin Ming, and then take you to experience the simulated cultivation environment. Yi Lingling brought him to the academy early in the morning, naturally not just to let him watch the spirit fight. She just happened to take the opportunity to show him around the academy and experience the simulated cultivation environment. As for the remaining time, sometimes seeing those couples hidden in various corners of the academy, deep down she still felt a bit envious. Today she also wanted to experience a sweet campus romance. All right. Lin Chen naturally had no objections, and he also wanted to see how much the simulated cultivation environment amplified a spirit master's cultivation. The two quickly came to the door of a classroom in the teaching building. The classroom was very large, but there were not many students, only 6 in total, and Du Guyan, whom Lin Chen knew, was among them. Yo, who is this? Du Guyan discovered the 2 of them at the first moment, and immediately couldn't help calling out with a yin and yang sarcastic tone. Her cry attracted the sideways glances of everyone else. Damn, the iron tree bloomed. Ojiro jumped up with a face full of shock upon seeing Yi Lingling so affectionately holding a man's arm. Walking toward the 2, he exaggeratedly sized them up from top to bottom. That look was somewhat comical. Not only Ojiro, but everyone else also felt extremely shocked by this. The feeling Yi Lingling gave them had always been ice cold, looking like she wasn't interested in any men and had a sort of misandry. Today she actually brought a man to the academy, and even acted so affectionately. How could they not be shocked by this? Buddy, to be able to win over Yi Lingling, you are truly amazing. Ojiro walked up close and couldn't help giving Lin Chen a thumbs up. Yi Lingling introduced, his name is Ojiro, spirit is Ghost Leopard, level 36 agility attack system combat spirit elder. Lin Chen nodded at Ojiro, hello, my name is Lin Chen. All right, later we should get in touch properly and have a good discussion. Ojiro winked at Lin Chen. Although he didn't finish his words, the meaning was very obvious, clearly wanting to learn a thing or two from Lin Chen. Then he stepped aside to let the 2 enter the classroom. After entering the classroom, Yi Lingling introduced everyone else to Lin Chen one by one. Except for the Graphite brothers and Yu Feng from the original work, there was also an additional spirit elder named Zhang Wei, who filled Yu Tianheng's power attack position. This is Lin Chen, my boyfriend. After introducing everyone, Yi Lingling officially announced Lin Chen's relationship with her to the crowd. Wait, why didn't you introduce Du Guyan? Seeing that Yi Lingling actually did not introduce Du Guyan, Graphite couldn't help raising a trace of suspicion. Lin Chen smiled and said, we've known each other for a long time. As expected. As Yi Lingling's best friend, how could Du Guyan possibly not know that she was dating a boyfriend? Goodness, Captain, you've kept this hidden pretty well, haven't you? Although they had some sparks before, they kept delaying officially confirming the relationship. I only found out just now too. Du Guyan couldn't help spreading her hands, her face full of helplessness. Fine then. Since she had said so, what else could the others say? What are you all chatting about? Qin Ming walked into the classroom, and his gaze fell on Lin Chen at the very first moment. His eyes were filled with scrutiny. It seemed as if he wanted to see right through Lin Chen with just a single glance. Teacher Qin Ming, this is my boyfriend Lin Chen. He is here to observe our spirit fight this afternoon, and by the way, I also want to show him around the academy. Yi Lingling stepped forward, pulling Lin Chen as she introduced him to Qin Ming. Lin Chen slightly nodded, hello, teacher. Boyfriend. Hearing this, a trace of surprise involuntarily flashed across the depths of Qin Ming's eyes. He understood this student of his too well. Precisely because of this, it made him involuntarily develop some curiosity toward Lin Chen. Lin Chen on what grounds? Chapter 108, Mimicry Cultivation Environment. Alright, go ahead, just don't miss this afternoon's spirit duel match. Although Qin Ming was very curious about Lin Chen's situation, he didn't intend to ask directly, as that would cause resentment. He had already received the message. This generation of Spirit Hall is hailed as the Golden Generation, stronger than any previous generation. If Heaven Du Imperial Academy wants to win the championship 2 years later, it must strengthen itself. The first thing Qin Ming thought of was his alma mater, Shrek Academy, which only recruits monsters. Students valued by Flender must certainly be talented spirit masters, endowed with unique gifts, which would be just right to strengthen the Heaven Du Imperial Academy team. As for how to persuade Flender, Shrek Academy lacks teaching qualifications and does not possess the eligibility to participate in the Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament. Qin Ming had his own ways to persuade him. Thank you, Teacher Qin Ming. After expressing her thanks, Yi Lingling directly pulled Lin Chen and left the classroom. After the two left, Qin Ming looked towards Du Guyan. She was still staring in the direction where the two left, her expression carrying a hint of melancholy, giving off an indescribable feeling. She seemed a bit lost. Qin Ming was a man in his decades. How could he fail to see through her little thoughts? Clearly, she also liked Lin Chen. This instantly made Qin Ming even more curious. What kind of person could attract two women who were as close as sisters to fall for him at the same time? Do you understand that, Lin Chen? Qin Ming thought that since she actually had some interest in that Lin Chen, she should more or less have some understanding of him. Perhaps he could start from her. Du Guyan withdrew her gaze, looked at Qin Ming, and saw through the other's thoughts at a glance. Not familiar, don't know. She knew Lin Chen was not very interested in the academy, so naturally she wouldn't let him go disturb Lin Chen, and she indeed did not understand Lin Chen's specific situation. She only knew that Lin Chen was very strong, stronger than any genius she knew. Qin Ming. He hadn't expected her to be so vigilant. However, the more she was like this, the more it showed that Lin Chen's aptitude and strength were not simple. It's not a big problem, just find an opportunity to test him in the afternoon. The so-called mimicry cultivate environment is actually a special environment corresponding to the spirit attribute. In such an environment, the energy of the corresponding attribute will be more active. For instance, the fire attribute energy near a volcano will be much more active than in other places. And the more active the energy is, the higher the absorption speed and efficiency will be, thereby achieving the effect of accelerating the cultivate speed. Yi Lingling brought Lin Chen to the back mountain of Heaven Du Imperial Academy. Various mimicry cultivate environments were established on the mountain, and Yi Lingling patiently explained the underlying logic of the mimicry cultivate environment to Lin Chen. Lin Chen asked, how large can the amplification effect be? Yi Lingling shook her head. It varies from person to person. Spirit masters with different aptitudes also have different meridian strengths, so the energy they can bear naturally differs. Exceeding the upper limit that one's own meridians can bear will only lead to counterproductive harm. In other words, the higher a spirit master's aptitude is, the better the amplification effect, and vice versa. There is even no need at all to enter the mimicry cultivate environment. However, even for innate full spirit power, at most they can only obtain some subtle amplification. Over time, cultivating for 3 to 5 years might allow one to pull ahead of geniuses of the same rank by 1 rank of spirit power, and the effect is not as exaggerated as rumors say. Lin Chen suddenly understood. Gaining 1 rank of spirit power in 3 to 5 years is actually quite good. After all, this is already one of the few methods that can enhance cultivate speed. Soon, the two arrived at the entrance of a valley. Yi Lingling introduced. This valley is named Tianlei Valley. Underground in the valley and within the rock walls, a large amount of thunder attribute ore is buried, used to amplify thunder attribute energy. After saying this, the two walked into the valley. The valley was not large, only a few hundred square meters, and inside, more than 10 students wearing the uniform of Heaven Du Imperial Academy were sitting cross-legged in a bustling manner. The moment he stepped into the valley, Lin Chen felt his pores dilate and his entire body felt comfortable. Just as Yi Lingling said, the thunder attribute energy in the valley was extremely active, so active that he could perceive it without entering a meditative state. Aptitude refers to energy perception, meridian strength, and so on. The lower the aptitude, the smaller the speed and range of perceiving the heaven and earth energy, and naturally the cultivate speed cannot be fast. And the mimicry cultivate environment can improve this flaw in aptitude. However, aptitude in the end affects meridian strength, resulting in the inability to withstand too much energy influx. Therefore, if aptitude is not enough, no matter how active the energy is, it is meaningless. Give it a try, just find any place. Lin Chen nodded and casually found a place to sit cross-legged. As he entered the meditative state, he gained a clearer understanding of the activity of the energy in the valley. They even actively drilled into his body. It's just that the meridians were like a narrow corridor, completely unable to accommodate so much energy entering. They could only be blocked outside the body. Only when Lin Chen refined a bit of energy would new energy pour into his meridians like finding a crack. There was an effect, but it wasn't as exaggerated as rumored. Because Lin Chen's aptitude was high enough, he could ingest enough energy to refine, even outside the mimicry cultivate environment. The mimicry cultivate environment only saved him the time of actively ingesting energy. This time might not be much for a single cultivate session, but accumulating it over time could also achieve the effect of amplifying the cultivate speed. The specifics could only be calculated after a long period of cultivate. However, as long as he reached rank 70, he could start attaching spirit rings to his second spirit, ushering in an explosive growth period of spirit power rank. This little amplification didn't have much significance. Yi Lingling originally thought Lin Chen would cultivate for at least an hour or two, so she took out a small stool and quietly sat beside him waiting. As a result, just as she sat down, Lin Chen opened his eyes. Is the effect not very good? Yi Lingling was not clear about Lin Chen's specific aptitude, so she thought the amplification effect was poor. Lin Chen shook his head. Even cultivating for a day or two has no meaning, just experiencing it is enough. That's true. Yi Lingling nodded, stood up, and put away the small stool. The two thus left Tianlei Valley. In the following time, Yi Lingling led Lin Chen to stroll around the academy, specifically choosing places where footprints were rare. During this period, they also did some shy things. Of course, it wasn't wild to the point of being uninhibited, they just kissed and things like that. After all, they hadn't broken through that step yet. How could the first time be in the wilderness? At noon, Yi Lingling took Lin Chen to experience the cafeteria of Heaven Du Imperial Academy, and then slowly led him to the Academy's Spirit Arena. The Spirit Arena of Heaven Du Imperial Academy was built strictly according to the stage standards of the Spirit Master Tournament. That was a square stage of 100 meters by 100 meters. There were more than 10 such stages in the Heaven Du Imperial Academy Spirit Arena. The footprint alone was enough to show the Academy's extravagance. Chapter 109, Overpowered Shui Binja. The Tianshui Academy team members and teachers, along with Qin Ming and the others, had already arrived a step ahead at the spirit fighting arena of Heaven Du Imperial Academy. Seeing Lin Chen and his companion arrive, Shui Yui's gaze landed on Lin Chen for the first time, and like someone lovesick, she tugged at the sleeves of her elder sister Shui Binja and Yu Heiru. Wow, Sister Heiru, look quickly, that boy is so handsome. The group of girls all looked over, and upon closer inspection, he was indeed very handsome, but she didn't even spare a glance at the stunningly beautiful girl by his side. Moreover, the two of them acted so intimately that one didn't even need to ask to know they were a couple. Shui Binja couldn't help but glare at her younger sister. Put away your foolish infatuation. Didn't you see his girlfriend is also here? If you make a fool of yourself because of this, see how I deal with you when we get back. Hearing this, Shui Yuia couldn't help curling her lips. So what if he has a girlfriend? They aren't even married yet. Although Shui Yuya thought this way in her heart, on the surface, she restrained herself quite a bit, not daring to stare at Lin Chen with an infatuated face anymore. They noticed Lin Chen, and naturally Lin Chen noticed them as well. Truth be told, the Tianshui team was truly pleasing to the eyes. Every single one of them was a beauty, and each had her own unique traits. Mature beauties, sweet girls, and cool older sisters were all present. Are they pretty? Yilingaling noticed his gaze and gently pinched the soft flesh at his waist. Lin Chen nodded. They're all right, but they're still a bit lacking compared to you. HMPH, you certainly know how to talk. Yilingaling let out a soft HMPH and didn't argue with him about it. Teacher Qin Ming. The two arrived close to Qin Ming and the others before letting go of each other. Prepare to start. Qin Ming didn't say any superfluous nonsense. What needed to be said had already been finished days ago. All right. Du Guyan acknowledged, then led Yilingaling and the others toward the ring. Aren't you going up? Seeing that Lin Chen had no intention of following, Shui Yuya subconsciously asked. Yilingaling's footsteps involuntarily paused, and Du Guyan and the others also stopped. All of them turned simultaneously to look at Shui Yuya. Those scorching gazes caused Shui Yuya's little face to flush red. Sorry, my younger sister. Shui Binja fiercely glared at Shui Yuya, and then cast an apologetic smile toward Yilingaling. HMPH. Yilingaling let out a soft HMPH, and then continued walking toward the ring. I'll help you vent your anger later. Du Guyan hurriedly followed, hugging her arm and whispering softly. Ojiro and the others also expressed their stances one after another. What are you still standing there stunned for? Tianshui Academy's leading teacher fiercely glared at Shui Yuya, scaring her into hurriedly pulling her sister and running toward the ring. The others couldn't help shaking their heads, then slowly followed behind. Lin Chen didn't speak the entire time, and there wasn't even much unusual expression on his face, as if everything that had just happened had nothing to do with him. Teacher Qin, why are you guys hiding your true capabilities? Tianshui Academy's leading teacher took a deep look at Lin Chen. As a dignified spirit saint, he couldn't perceive the slightest aura from the other party, which showed that the other party's strength or spirit must have something extraordinary about it. He is not a student of our academy, just here to watch the battle. Qin Ming didn't conceal it either. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Tianshui Academy's leading teacher felt a bit surprised and turned his head to look at Lin Chen. I wonder which academy this young friend is a high talent of. Hearing this, Qin Ming also looked at Lin Chen with a curious face. He also wanted to know if the other person was a current student of some academy. The spirit fight is about to begin. Lin Chen didn't answer directly, instead gesturing to them toward the ring, where members of both sides were waiting for them to host the spirit fight. Teacher Chen, please. Teacher Tianshui looked at Qin Ming, making a gesture of invitation. Qin Ming shook his head instead. Let Teacher Wang come instead. I'm afraid I won't be able to rescue in time later. HM. A dignified spirit emperor, yet afraid he won't be able to rescue in time. Does Heaven Do Imperial Academy still have such a prodigy in this batch? Or could it be? Teacher Tianshui glanced at Lin Chen, then nodded. Then I shall do it. With that, he exerted a slight force under his feet, his figure leaping up and landing steadily on the ring. Both sides can now release your spirits. Du Guyan Spirit Poison Dragon, rank 45 attack system battle spirit ancestor. As soon as Teacher Tianshui's voice fell, Du Guyan, acting as the team captain, reported her background to show respect. This was also the rule of the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament. Just as her voice fell, a red and green light suddenly spread from the center of her brow across her whole body, and pieces of fiery red scales as transparent as crystal grew out from her skin surface. At the same time, 4 spirit rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple, also rose from beneath her feet. The very moment the spirit rings fully appeared, Du Guyan's entire body had transformed into a strange form with a human head and a snake body. Isn't this just Medusa? Looking at Douluo Yan, who was almost indistinguishable from Medusa, Lin Chen felt somewhat novel and couldn't help examining her carefully. Overall, she looked no different from the original work. The only difference was that her skin surface changed. The fiery red scales resembled a strapless long dress, just covering her key parts. From the chest upwards, including her face, there were no scales. There were no dragon horns on her forehead either, but her hands had transformed into dragon claws, growing sharp claw blades. Poison dragon. Spirit ancestor. The people on Tianshui Academy's side were all startled when they heard and saw Douluo Yan's situation. Wasn't the Douluo family's spirit the jade phosphor snake? How did it turn into a poison dragon? Moreover, this wasn't much different from a snake. It was merely changing from the previous green to the current fiery red. The key was how old could she possibly be? Had she already reached the spirit ancestor rank? While the Tianshui group was dazed, Yi Lingling and the others also successively released their spirits and spirit rings, all of them being 3-ring spirit elders. Shui Binja, Spirit Ice Phoenix, rank 38 Control System Spirit Elder. Shui Binja took a deep breath, and while reporting her identity, she also began to release her spirit and spirit rings, with the others moving along as well. There were still 2 years until the Spirit Master tournament, and the Tianshui team didn't even have a single spirit ancestor yet at present. Spirit fight begin. As soon as teacher Tianshui's voice fell, Shui Binja's first spirit ring and Douluo Yan's first 2 spirit rings were lit up almost simultaneously. Douluo Yan's spirit evolution time was relatively late, so her first spirit ability and second spirit ability were still the poison-type control spirit abilities from the original work. Only her third and fourth spirit abilities were for attack. The moment the 2 spirit rings lit up, green and black poisonous mists intertwined together, suddenly spreading across the entire arena. And at almost the same time, 7 ice-blue rays of light were instantly stimulated, landing on the members of Heaven Dew Academy in the blink of an eye. As expected of Shui Binja, who could crush Tang San's mindset. Looking at Douluo Yan and the others who were instantly frozen into ice sculptures, Lin Chen couldn't help but let out a sigh in the bottom of his heart. Normally speaking, a 10,000-year spirit ring could bring a group control spirit ability, yet Shui Binja possessed it right at her first ring, and it even came with an instantaneous casting effect. It was simply strong to the point of being overpowered. Chapter 110, The Annoying Qin Ming. Because Douluo Yan's poisonous mist had already spread to a certain range, Tianshui Academy's side didn't dare to rush into the poison to deliver a finishing blow. However, it couldn't be considered a wasted control. She had at least interrupted the spread of Douluo Yan's spirit ability. Bang! Douluo Yan, who had already reached the spirit ancestor realm, was the first to break through Shui Binja's ice seal, but she didn't rush toward her opponents in the first instance. Instead, taking advantage of the fact that the poisonous mist hadn't dispersed yet, she helped Yi Lingling, who was unable to break the ice herself, break out of the ice seal. Just as Yi Lingling broke out of the ice, Zhang Wei and the others also successively broke through the ice, regaining control of their bodies. The battle was thus pulled back to the starting point. Who do you think will win? As both sides' attack system Spirit Masters and agility attack system Spirit Masters charged out together, Lin Chen was watching with great interest when Qin Ming beside him suddenly spoke up and asked. Heaven Dew. This sparring soul duel was meant to probe the bottom line. Tianshui Academy would definitely not use a spirit fusion technique, and if they did, their chances of winning would not be high. After all, no matter what, the Heaven Dew Imperial Academy team had a spirit ancestor. Furthermore, there was a top-tier support like Yi Lingling, who could directly restore all members of her side to their peak condition midway through the fight. Lin Chen didn't know how they could possibly lose. You shouldn't be very old. Being able to walk together with Yi Lingling shows that your strength is also quite good. Are you interested in joining us? Qin Ming suddenly got straight to the point. You don't need to waste your time on me. No matter what you say, I won't join. Lin Chen stared intently at the 2 sides, who had already begun close combat on the arena. Douluo Yan truly lived up to being a spirit ancestor, grabbing Shui Yuir and giving her a severe beating, steadily suppressing her purely with basic attributes. As an agility attack system spirit master, Shui Yuir actually couldn't shake off her pursuit. You seem to have some aversion to academies. Lin Chen frowned slightly, feeling that this person was somewhat annoying to a certain extent. He stopped watching the match and glanced sideways at Qin Ming. What can an academy bring me? Don't talk to me about mimicry cultivate environments. That tiny bit of enhancement is completely unable to offset the time consumed by training and matches. If all this time was spent on cultivate, even without a mimicry cultivate environment, the spirit power rank of Lingerling and the others would be at least 2 or 3 ranks higher than they are now. Upon hearing this, Qin Meng shook his head. These trainings and matches are also necessary cultivate. They allow you to understand more spirits and accumulate a large amount of actual combat experience. Lin Chen directly raised his hand to interrupt. Do you think this kind of sparring nature soul duel, full of restraints and requiring holding back everywhere, can be compared to a real life or death battle? Qin Meng. Lin Chen smiled contemptuously. Holding back is not a good habit. In a life or death battle, it will instead become a fatal flaw. Wasting so much time just to create a fatal flaw for oneself, my brain would have to be squeezed in a door for me to do that. Qin Meng could finally see that this kid was indeed not simple. Since you look down on the academy faction so much, I wonder if you can let me witness the actual combat experience you forged from life or death battles. He had taught for so many years. What kind of genius hadn't he seen? Arrogant. The more proud a genius was, the harder it usually was for them to resist provocation. He wanted to see just how much real capability this kid had. Labeling and provoking, you've got quite some skill. Lin Chen seemed to be praising him, but his tone was full of sarcasm, causing Qin Ming's old face to flush involuntarily. What are you scared? Lin Chen turned his head to look at the arena, directly ignoring the other party's provocation. His conversation with Qin Ming hadn't been long, but the soul duel on the stage was already nearing its end, with 2 people eliminated from each side. It was worth mentioning that Shui Yuir was being pinned to the ground and beaten by Du Guyan, with every single punch landing solidly on her flesh. Shui Binger and the others wanted to lend a hand, but they were firmly blocked by Zhang Wei and the others, who refused to let them pass even if it meant trading injuries for injuries. Shui Yuir was beaten into shrieking and howling. Lin Chen couldn't hold back and let out a laugh, and that laughter combined with his previous indifference made Qin Ming's expression instantly turn gloomy. Of course, that was all. Although he was a spirit emperor, he didn't have much of a background, whereas Lin Chen was Yi Lingling's boyfriend, with the Yi family backing him up. Moreover, Du Guyan also seemed to have a secret crush on him. If he really provoked them to the point of desperation, even the academy wouldn't be able to protect him. Let's stop fighting, let's stop fighting. Shui Yuir on the stage finally couldn't hold on anymore and directly surrendered. From the start of the match until now, this crazy woman hadn't cared about anyone else. She had solely chased and beaten her, and moreover, she kept aiming for her face. What kind of soul duel sparring was this? It was clearly targeted retaliation. She had seen people fiercely protective of their food, but she had never seen someone so fiercely protective over a person. Didn't she just say a word to that handsome guy? We admit defeat. Shui Binger also saw that this battle had lost its original flavor from the moment her sister started acting infatuated, and there was simply no need to continue. Furthermore, without using a spirit fusion technique, they didn't have much of a chance of winning anyway. HMPH. Du Guyan let out a cold snort before finally standing up from Shui Yuir's body. Shui Yuir collapsed limply right there. That crazy woman really didn't hold back at all. She felt pain all over her entire body. Are you all right? Shui Binger and the others came close, and looking at her face that was now unrecognizable, they felt both heartache and an inexplicable urge to laugh. Each and every one of them was trying their best to suppress the corners of their mouths. If you want to laugh, just laugh. Shui Yuir barely managed to open a slit of her eyes, and seeing their expressions, anger instantly welled up inside her. Shui Binger rolled her eyes at her. Let's see if you still dare to act infatuated in the future. How was I supposed to know that a person could be petty to this extent? Shui Yuya muttered softly, as if afraid that Du Guyan and the others not far away would hear. Teacher Tianshui shook her head helplessly. She led the team to Heaven Du Imperial Academy to probe their bottom line, but with Shui Yuya's commotion, it seemed like they had probed it, yet also seemed like they hadn't probed anything at all. However, at least they had grasped information on their spirit ability, so it couldn't be considered a wasted trip. Could I trouble? Teacher Tianshui looked at Yi Lingling, looking somewhat hesitant to speak. Yi Lingling didn't put on a long face either. As 3 spirit rings lit up, streaks of light flew through the air towards Shui Binger and the others. With the infusion of the spirit ability light, their injuries recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just 2 breaths' time, no injuries could be seen on them anymore, and this was still with Yi Lingling holding back somewhat. Thank you. Shui Binger slightly bowed toward Yi Lingling. You're welcome. Yi Lingling didn't lose her manners either. After giving her response, she followed Du Guyan and the others off the arena. Teacher Qin Ming, I'd like to take a leave of absence this afternoon. You fought into this state, and you still have the nerve to ask for leave. Qin Ming's expression sank, not giving her the slightest bit of a good look. It wasn't that he was targeting anyone, but Du Guyan and the others truly fought terribly today. They were completely fighting just for the sake of beating Shui Yuya. Although there was a reason behind it, as a teacher, he couldn't just turn a blind eye. Chapter 111, Someone is Fighting Ahead. Today they could target her just because Shui Yuya said a single sentence to Lin Chen, so during the Spirit Master Elite tournament, those people could also use the same tactics to provoke them. Provocation and mockery are inherently tactical methods used before a battle. Hearing this, Yi Lingling couldn't help but pout. She walked over to Lin Chen, grabbed his hands with both of hers, and put on a pitiful expression. I can't send you back anymore. The Academy has its own rules. No matter how grand and noble you are, you must obey the Academy's rules within its grounds, because no matter how powerful you are, you cannot surpass the royal family. Of course, exceptions like the Dugu family exist. It's fine, I'm not a child, I won't get lost. Lin Chen helped her tidy her bangs. Even after winning, it's still not enough. Teacher Qin Ming, aren't you being a bit too harsh? Teacher Tianshui walked over leading her team. Qin Ming just shook his head and didn't argue with her about anything. Even a fool could see that she was joking with him. Let's go, I'll see you off. Everyone, please stay. Lin Chen immediately spoke up to stop everyone, including Teacher Tianshui's group as well. Qin Ming stopped and turned to look at him. He thought Lin Chen wanted to ask for leave on behalf of Yi Lingling, so his expression looked a bit unpleasant. Successfully brought calamity to Qin Ming and the others, obtained reward, Authority of Calamity 1/10. Lin Chen's brows couldn't help but twitch. Good grief, after waiting for so many years, he finally waited for another 10th of the Authority of Calamity. He wondered what changes would occur after mastering it. Let's go together. As he spoke, Lin Chen gently tapped Yi Lingling on the forehead. I'm heading back first. MMHM. Yi Lingling nodded heavily, reluctantly letting go of his hand. Hearing this, Qin Ming finally breathed a sigh of relief. He was truly a bit afraid that Lin Chen would forcefully ask for leave for Yi Lingling. If he agreed, he would lose all his dignity. If he didn't, it would easily bring trouble upon himself. Fortunately, the other party didn't do that. Let's go. Qin Ming turned around to lead the way in front, and Lin Chen and Teacher Tianshui's group quickly followed. The moment she stepped out of the Spirit Dousal arena, Shui Yuya could no longer suppress her restless heart. Hey, what's your name? Lin Chen couldn't help being stunned, not expecting that she had just taken a beating yet forgot all about it the moment she turned her head. Shui Binger and the others were also left speechless at the sight. Yuharu was actually a bit boy crazy too, but she was nowhere near as exaggerated as Shui Yuya. At least she knew what a sense of propriety meant. Lin Chen. It was just a name, so naturally Lin Chen wouldn't hide it. Then how old are you this year? Yuya, that's enough. Seeing her younger sister acting increasingly outrageous, Shui Binger instantly couldn't hold it in anymore. While scolding her sister, she also cast an apologetic look at Lin Chen. Lin Chen smiled and said, "It's fine." Shui Yuia looked at her older sister indignantly. "I'm just asking, it's not like I'm going to do anything." "You'd certainly want to, if only you had the opportunity." Yu Heiru mercilessly exposed her, causing her little face to instantly flush red. "Sister Heiru, what are you talking about?" Looking exasperated, Shui Yuia glared at Yu Heiru while, also unable to resist stealing a glance at Lin Chen. Yet she saw that the latter didn't seem to react at all. "All right, stop messing around." Shui Binger glared at both of them, and only then did they quiet down. Soon, everyone arrived at the school gate. Yi Lingling had instructed her family's coachman in the morning to come pick the two of them up in the afternoon, and by this time, the other party was already waiting there. "Farewell." Lin Chen cupped his fists in salute toward teacher Tianshui's group. "Bye-bye." Shui Yuia enthusiastically waved her little hand, while the others either nodded in acknowledgement or directly ignored him. "Let's go." Lingling couldn't get leave. Lin Chen approached and informed the coachman, meaning for him to wait until after the academy dismissed school before coming to pick up Yi Lingling to go back. "All right." Just as Lin Chen got into the carriage and left, teacher Tianshui's group also bade farewell to Qin Ming, got into their carriage and left, heading toward Heaven Du City as well. The two carriages thus traveled one after another along the broad avenue. "How many times have I told you? Can you tone down your flirty behavior a bit in the future? If you keep acting like this, you're bound to suffer a huge loss sooner or later." Inside the carriage, Shui Binger was lecturing her younger sister. I can't control it, and besides, I didn't do anything." Shui Yuia muttered. Yu Heiru shook her head. "It's useless. You might as well say a little less too. If she were capable of listening, she wouldn't be incorrigible." Upon hearing this, Shui Yuia immediately became unhappy. "What do you mean by incorrigible?" "The appreciation of beauty is common to all. They are just dating, not married yet. Can't we even chat for a couple of sentences?" Yu Heiru spread her hands. "Look, what did I say? However, there's nothing wrong with what she said either. As long as they aren't married yet, there's still a chance." Shui Yuia grinned and added, "Even if they're married, it's not impossible. We can have 3 wives and 4 concubines, right?" Yu Heiru. Shui Binger. Everyone was left utterly speechless by her thunderous remark. That logic made sense, but how many women in this world are willing to share their own man with other women? Yu Heiru couldn't help shaking her head. "Then keep it up, I'm rooting for you." Shui Binger wanted to speak but stopped, choosing to just keep her mouth shut. They were born to the same father and mother, so why was the gap between them so huge? Whoa, don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. The carriage suddenly stopped, causing the girls to look full of confusion. "What's going on?" "I don't know." The Yi family's carriage suddenly stopped up ahead. The coachman responded. Hearing this, teacher Tianshui poked her head out of the carriage and looked forward, only to see that Lin Chen had somehow run up to the top of the carriage roof. "Lin Chen, what is it?" Shui Binger and the others also all poked their heads out, looking at Lin Chen with curious expressions. "Someone is fighting ahead." Lin Chen turned back to look at teacher Tianshui's group. He had every reason to suspect that he was being implicated by their bad luck. Of course, don't ask how that bad luck came about. "Fighting?" Teacher Tianshui wore a blank expression. Even she, a spirit saint, hadn't sensed it, yet Lin Chen had. "Is this reasonable?" Shui Binger and the others also had suspicious looks on their faces, turning to look at their teacher one after another. Why does it feel that their teacher is somehow inferior to Lin Chen? Ahem. Teacher Tianshui gave a couple of dry coughs to mask her embarrassment. "I was too engrossed in listening to your chat just now and didn't notice for a moment." Although she indeed hadn't sensed it, Lin Chen had no reason to lie about such a matter. Perhaps it was due to the unique characteristics of his spirit. Shui Binger and the others nodded half-heartedly. Lin Chen turned his head back, and continued to gaze into the distance. Over there, people were indeed fighting, and the number seemed quite large. However, the strongest among them appeared to be merely around the level of a spirit saint. In this world where strength is supreme, rubbernecking is not a good habit. If you aren't careful, you could lose your life. Better to avoid extra trouble than to create it. It's better to wait until they finish fighting or leave before moving on. Sitting inside the carriage wasn't actually comfortable, and there was no telling when the fight ahead would end, so Teacher Tianshui's group simply got down from the carriage. Chapter 112, The Fallen Spirit Emperor Strikes. Shui Yuya tilted her head and shouted to Lin Chen standing on top of the carriage, "Hey, why are you standing so high? Come down and chat." Seeing this, Shui Binja helplessly patted her forehead. This was a classic case of forgetting the pain once the wound healed. Knowing this would happen, she shouldn't have let Yi Lingling heal her. She should have let her learn a lesson properly. Lin Chen glanced sideways and jumped down from the top of the carriage. "What do you want to chat about? When did you and Yi Lingling start dating?" Shui Yui's gossip immediately caught the attention of the Yi family's carriage driver, and his buttocks unconsciously shifted closer to Lin Chen. Although his young miss and Lin Chen had shown signs of it long ago, there had never been any definitive response. Now it seemed they had finally confirmed their relationship. This was definitely a big deal for the Yi family, and it was very necessary to notify the master. Yesterday, Lin Chen walked to the front of the carriage and half leaned against the edge of the carriage. Hearing this, Shui Yuya immediately felt bored. They had only confirmed their relationship yesterday, which meant the two were currently in the passionate phase of love. Love during this period could withstand no tests. No matter who came, they wouldn't be able to poach this corner. Shui Yuya half-jokingly asked, "Then do you mind having one or two more girlfriends?" "What?" Lin Chen was truly a bit dumbfounded by her question. He had heard of asking if someone minded having one more boyfriend or girlfriend, but what the heck was having one or two more? Also, wasn't she a bit too wild? Looking like a cute and sweet girl, why did her words give people an inexplicable sense of promiscuity? Secretly telling you, my sister and I will only marry the same man. Shui Yuya walked up close, leaned down beside Lin Chen, and lowered her voice to whisper in Lin Chen's ear. Lin Chen. Good fellow. He had seen people who screwed over their fathers, and people who screwed over their sons, but this was the first time he had seen someone screwing over her sister. Using her sister as bait to chum the water, this method was brilliant. The temptation of a pair of sisters, probably not many men could resist it, right? And they were top-notch sisters at that. Lin Chen involuntarily looked over at Shui Binja, who was chatting in low voices not far away with Yu Heiru, Zuwu, and the others. How is it, are you very tempted? Shui Yuya looked at Lin Chen with a smile, a trace of cunning appearing on her face. Lin Chen withdrew his gaze from Shui Binja, turned his head to look at Shui Yuya beside him, his expression tinged with playfulness. So are you going to gift her directly? Shui Yuya. She had thought that Lin Chen might pretend to be uninterested, and she had also thought he might directly admit it, but she never expected him to blurt out such a sentence. A flush involuntarily rose on Shui Yuya's cheeks. She wanted to run away, but she was the one who had started the topic. If she ran away just like that, wouldn't that be equivalent to admitting defeat? My family's cat can do backflips. Lin Chen continued to deliver the finishing blow, his expression looking just like a weird uncle coaxing a child. In your dreams. Shui Yuya finally couldn't hold it together anymore, dropped those 3 words, and ran away, causing Shui Binja and the others to simultaneously cast their gazes at her. Seeing the flush on her face, the women instantly understood that she had returned in utter defeat. Yu Heiru covered her mouth and sneered. It seems our family's little Yuya is still somewhat lacking in practical combat experience. Sister Heiru. Shui Yuya glared fiercely at her, feeling a mix of shyness and anger in her heart. Some people every day pretending to understand everything, looking like their theory is number 1 in the entire continent, yet the moment they encounter actual combat, they instantly fold. Shui Binja also added a sarcastic blow. Sister. Shui Yuia stamped her feet in anger, her cheeks becoming even more flushed. Giggle, giggle. Zhuwu and the others immediately covered their mouths and snickered, their silvery, bell-like laughter lingering for a long time. You guys, HMPH, I'm ignoring you. Shui Yuia was exasperated, yet had nothing to say. With a fierce stomp, she wanted to flee into the carriage. Be on guard. Seeing the black kai between the eyebrows of the women suddenly begin to spread, Lin Chen's expression abruptly changed. With a sharp shout, he flipped over and landed steadily on the roof of the carriage. The first to respond was teacher Tianshui, because she at this moment finally perceived the person rapidly rushing toward their side. I saw an ice blue spear appear in her hand, and 7 spirit rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple and 3 black, rose one by one from beneath her feet. With a few leaps, she rushed to the front of the Yi family carriage. Seeing this, the women all became vigilant. Shui Binja flipped up onto the roof of the Tianshui carriage, releasing her spirit and spirit rings simultaneously, while Shui Yuia and the others guarded the left and right sides of the carriage. If a battle broke out, their teacher would be the main force, and they only needed to provide some support. Foolishly rushing up to help their teacher fight, the enemy would not only be useless, but it would also drag down their teacher. Lin Chen's warning was very timely. Until everyone was fully prepared, a black dot appeared at the edge of the endless plain and rapidly enlarged. The black dot gradually enlarged, and behind it, a few more black dots appeared. Friends ahead, be careful. This person is a fallen spirit emperor. Run quickly if you lack the strength, and please lend a hand if you have the ability. A voice carrying spirit power came from afar. Being besieged by 3 spirit emperors and still able to break through the encirclement, this person's strength is definitely not simple. I'll go up to help, you guys be careful. Teacher Tianshui dropped these words and rushed out. Fallen spirit masters deserve to be punished by everyone, let alone that her strength was above the opponent's. Naturally, she had to go lend a hand. I have no intention of targeting you. The fallen spirit master did not dare to make a right-angle turn, otherwise he would be caught up by the people behind. He could only deviate from the straight line where Lin Chen and the others were located to show goodwill. Teacher Tianshui, as if she hadn't heard at all, killed straight toward him. Damn it, if I can't live, don't think any of you will have it easy either. The fallen spirit master was furious, the 6th spirit ring on his body suddenly flashing, and a blood-red light instantly spread around him as the center. 6th spirit ability, Bloodthirsty Domain. The expansion speed of the blood-red light was extremely fast, and a strong smell of blood spread along with it, accompanied by an intense intent to kill. Teacher Tianshui's 5th and 7th spirit rings lit up almost simultaneously. Holding back was impossible. After all, behind her were her students, and she would never allow her students to face a spirit emperor-level fallen spirit master directly. She threw it with force, and the ice blue spear suddenly pierced through the air. The spear continuously grew larger during its flight, transforming in an instant into a giant spear exceeding 20 meters in length. At the same time, a terrifying chill emanated from the spear body. Damn it, a locking spirit ability. When the fallen spirit emperor realized that the spear had tightly locked onto him, his expression suddenly became extremely ugly. With the spirit true body plus the 5th spirit ability, he absolutely could not block it. Even if he could barely block it, he would no longer have the surplus strength to deal with the pursuers behind, and the only thing awaiting him was a dead end. You forced this on me. The fallen spirit emperor let out a long roar to the sky, and the fist-sized blood-colored bead spirit ring floating in front of him suddenly burst forth with intense blood light. Let's die together, ha. Chapter 113, consecutively slaying 2 spirit emperors. As the fallen spirit emperor burst into silent, wild laughter, his spirit suddenly exploded, and countless blood-colored energies surged out from it like a breached dike. Along with the surge of those energies, the expansion speed of his domain suddenly skyrocketed. In an instant, it enveloped the pursuers who were chasing closely behind him, forming a blood-colored domain with a diameter of over 500 meters. Teacher Tianshui, who had long since stood firmly in the distance, was not enveloped inside. That blood-colored energy seemed to have the effect of blocking sight. Neither Teacher Tianshui nor Shui Binger, and the others could clearly see the situation inside. Lin Chen couldn't see clearly either, but his mental force was strong enough to roughly perceive some of the situation inside the domain. There didn't seem to be anything special either. The pursuers behind rushed frantically toward the outside of the domain the moment they sensed the abnormality. However, that fallen spirit emperor was pierced straight through by teacher Tianshui's spirit avatar. However, in Lin Chen's perception, he wasn't killed by teacher Tianshui's spirit ability, but lost all aura of life right after executing that move. Lin Chen's brows furrowed tightly. A stunt paid for with one's life could absolutely not be as simple as he perceived. The people inside the domain must have already fallen for it. It's just that he didn't know what the exact effect of that move was. Senior, come back first. While Lin Chen vocalized a reminder to teacher Tianshui, his mental force firmly locked onto the 3 spirit emperors who had already retreated from the domain. Constantly paying attention to their changes, teacher Tianshui knew that Lin Chen's perceptive power was very strong, so she didn't put on any senior airs and honestly retreated. However, she still stood at the very front and recondensed her spirit. After rushing out of the domain, the 3 spirit emperors first self-inspected, then looked at each other, but did not detect any problems. "Are you guys all right?" one of them asked, while the other 2 shook their heads in unison. The 3 of them were speechless. It turned out to be all thunder and no rain. Let's go over and express our thanks." One of them shook his head and led the other 2 around toward Lin Chen and the others. "3 gentlemen, if you have anything to say it from afar." Seeing the 3 of them circling over, Lin Chen hurriedly spoke out to interrupt their continued approach. Didn't he know enough about his own calamity? Since such an unexpected change had occurred, it would definitely affect the Tianshui women, yet right now, nothing at all was happening to them. That meant the danger had not yet been lifted. Hearing this, the 3 of them paused their steps. The leader said, "We harbor no malice, we simply want to express our thanks to everyone." Teacher Tianshui said, "We have already received your gratitude." The 3 of them instantly felt speechless, thinking whether these people were being a bit overly vigilant. "Boss, something's not right." The leader turned his head to look, only to see that the other person's eyes were already bloodshot, and their gaze and expression were gradually becoming somewhat abnormal. "What's wrong with you?" That person's brows gradually furrowed tightly, his hands slowly clenched into fists, and the veins on his neck all became congested and swelled up. MMPH. He suddenly let out a low moan, as if he were enduring some kind of pain. "Third brother." The leader's expression changed drastically, and just as he was about to check his condition, he found that his own mind had also become hazy for a split second. Following closely after was an uncontrollable killing intent that surged into his heart. He hurriedly circulated his spirit power, wanting to suppress that killing intent, but it had no effect at all. Instead, that inexplicable killing intent became even more violent. Not only the 2 of them, but the other person also showed the exact same reaction. The pupils of the 3 of them were gradually infected by blood heat, and strands of strange blood-colored patterns gradually emerged from their skin. The killing intent rapidly devoured their final shred of sanity. After feeling the thick killing intent emerging from the 3 of them, Lin Chen didn't tangle or hesitate too much. He looked toward teacher Tianshui. "Senior, kill them." Teacher Tianshui also sensed the killing intent on them, and could see that their current state was obviously somewhat abnormal. They might be good people, but right now was not the time to be soft-hearted. A swoosh. Her figure suddenly rushed out, and dazzling light bloomed from her spirit. Mid-charge, she fiercely hurled the long spear in her hand. That wasn't a spirit ability, but merely a spirit reinforced by spirit power. A swoosh. The long spear cut through the sky, piercing straight toward the head of the person who had spoken earlier. Although the opponent was in a delicate state, his reaction was not slow. Shifting his body slightly, he dodged the sneak-attacking long spear. Up-ding. The long spear plunged deeply into the ground, but in the blink of an eye, it turned into specks of blue light, recondensing into shape in teacher Tianshui's hand. It's raw. The sanity of the 3 of them was completely submerged, and they simultaneously let out beast-like roars. The sharp blade penetrated right through the body, along the gaps between the ribs, piercing straight through the leader's heart. As it turned out, Lin Chen had appeared behind him at some unknown time. The leader hadn't sensed it, his two brothers hadn't sensed it, and teacher Tianshui hadn't noticed anything either. Lin Chen just silently and out of nowhere appeared behind him. Although teacher Tianshui was a spirit saint, she would probably find it hard to deal with 3 spirit emperors at the same time, so Lin Chen naturally couldn't afford to hide his capabilities anymore. Shui Binger and the others by the carriage all stared with wide eyes and open mouths. They only saw Lin Chen disappear with a swoosh, and when he reappeared, he was already behind that spirit emperor. Then, having succeeded with a single strike, Lin Chen's figure retreated explosively, perfectly dodging the attacks made by the other 2 at the first instance. Teacher Tianshui also rushed to the front at this moment. "The bear belongs to you, the blade belongs to me." One of the 2 people's spirits was a blade, and the other's was a bear. The latter had thick skin and flesh, so it probably wouldn't be so easy to fight without activating their spirit. The blade one was much simpler. A tool spirit master's physique was not considered outstanding, but relying on the spirit Douluo level physique, coupled with the many ultimate techniques rewarded by the system. Lin Chen dealing with him could be said to be completely effortless. Good. Although teacher Tianshui was shocked, now was obviously not the time to ask about these things. With a sweep of her long spear, she forcefully drove back the beast spirit emperor, rushing toward Lin Chen. The blade soul emperor was like a bloodthirsty beast, roaring as he charged toward Lin Chen. The long blade in his hand was wielded by him so tightly that not even wind could leak through. Yet no matter how hard he tried, the blade's edge was always just a bit away from Lin Chen, with almost every strike grazing past Lin Chen's body. Having lost his sanity, he didn't know why, he was simply trying blindly. As the blade soul emperor roared, his second ring suddenly flashed, and his blade's edge immediately became stained with a faint layer of golden light. As his hand rose and his blade fell, a dazzling golden blade radiance suddenly slashed toward Lin Chen. At that very instant, Lin Chen's figure suddenly vanished out of thin air before the blade soul emperor's eyes, and when he reappeared, he was already behind him. The same move, even the position where the sword blade entered the body was about the same. The blade soul emperor's body stiffened in place abruptly, as if electrocuted. Chapter 114, Changes in the Authority of Calamity. Lin Chen drew his sharp sword, and the blade soul emperor's body heavily slammed into the ground. Bang! Lin Chen looked in the direction of the sound, only to see the beast spirit emperor being swept away by a spear strike from teacher Tianshui. At the same time, her 6th spirit ring suddenly lit up. Teacher Tianshui's figure flashed as she caught up to the still airborne beast spirit emperor. Her spear thrust out like a dragon, a cold glare piercing through the air. The long spear wrapped in blue light pierced through the beast spirit emperor's body. A chill abruptly swept outwards. In just the blink of an eye, the beast spirit emperor was frozen into an ice sculpture. Crack! The beast spirit emperor fell to the ground, his body instantly shattering into chunks of ice. Teacher Tianshui turned around. She looked at the blade soul emperor's corpse, then at the person Lin Chen had killed first. Ridiculous, simply too ridiculous. She truly found it hard to imagine that a guy who looked only around 10 years old could instantly kill 2 spirit emperors without even releasing his spirit. Lin Chen took the initiative to speak. "I must ask Senior to help keep this a secret. You are the only people who know my true strength. Rest assured, I won't seek my own death." Lin Chen could instantly kill spirit emperors without releasing his spirit. A spirit saint like her might not be enough to handle him either. Only someone whose brain was caught in a door would do that. Lin Chen sensed slightly, glanced at Shui Binger and the others, and added, "Please also have a word with them. I really don't want to resort to violence against such delicate flowers." Teacher Tianshui nodded, "All right." Only then did Lin Chen refocus his gaze on the 3 corpses. All 3 of them wore the uniforms of Spirit Hall, so their identities went without saying. Leave it to me, I will go to Spirit Hall to explain the situation. As she spoke, teacher Tianshui walked over to the two corpses Lin Chen had killed and stabbed them several times with her spear, destroying the traces left by Lin Chen. Afterward, she put the three corpses away into her storage spirit tool. Seeing this, Lin Chen nodded in satisfaction. Communicating with smart people was truly effortless. A single glance was all it took for them to understand. Finally, there was that fallen spirit master. The bloody mist had already dissipated, and teacher Tianshui had also put away his corpse. No way, Lin Chen, aren't you a bit too fierce? Shui Yuya took the initiative to greet him, looking at Lin Chen with eyes full of adoration. Shui Binger and the others also stepped up a moment later. Although they didn't speak, the shock in their eyes still hadn't dissipated. Lin Chen smiled and said, "My cat is even fiercer." Hearing this, a flush immediately rose onto Shui Yuya's small face. "You are indecent." Teacher Tianshui said solemnly, "What happened here today must not be revealed to anyone by even a fraction, otherwise those three spirit emperors will be your fate." She was Shui Binger and the others' teacher, so she had the obligation to tell them the gravity of this matter. "Yes," Shui Binger and the others solemnly acknowledged, not daring to be playful. Teacher Tianshui nodded, then walked towards their academy's coachman. Shui Yuya walked up to Lin Chen with a mischievous smile. He, I'm going to hold this secret over you for the rest of my life." Lin Chen. Yu Heiru chimed in with a teasing tone, who holds it over whom might not be so certain yet. Yu Heiru. Shui Yuya fiercely whipped her head around, glaring at her while grinding her teeth menacingly. "All right, look at you guys every single day." Shui Binger tried to smooth things over, but her face was full of helplessness. "Let's go," Teacher Tianshui shouted, and everyone finally walked toward the carriages. "Lin Chen, can I ride in your carriage?" Shui Yuya looked at Lin Chen eagerly, looking like she was begging him. "Yuya!" Shui Binger scolded in a stern voice, her expression extremely serious. She was truly getting more and more presumptuous. He already had a girlfriend, couldn't she have some sense of boundaries? Lin Chen didn't speak. He didn't mind sharing a carriage with them, but the problem was that it was the Yi family's carriage. "If I can't ride, then I won't ride." Shui Yuya curled her lips in displeasure, stomping angrily toward her carriage while kicking at the empty air on the ground. Shui Binger looked at Lin Chen with an apologetic face. "I'm truly sorry, my younger sister is just like this, lacking any sense of proportion in what she does." Lin Chen waved his hand and said, "She's quite cute, you can bring her to play with me sometime." Hearing this, Shui Binger couldn't help but be stunned. Turns out he was just like Yuya, completely clueless about what a sense of boundaries meant. "Aren't you afraid your girlfriend will get jealous?" Shui Binger didn't directly refuse, instead looking at him with a half-smile. Lin Chen said thoughtfully, "Probably not. She would definitely get jealous, but she would get used to it over time." Shui Binger's eyes widened instantly. But upon second thought, it didn't seem completely impossible either. Being able to instantly kill spirit emperors without releasing his spirit, Lin Chen's excellence was enough to subvert everyone's cognition. How could such a person possibly marry only one principal wife? Unless Lin Chen had no intention of strengthening his own spirit. Otherwise, having multiple wives and concubines was inevitable. If she couldn't accept that, then Yi Lingling and him were destined to have no results. "All right then, if your girlfriend gets jealous at that time, don't blame us. For Yuya, Lin Chen could definitely be considered the best destination. Shui Binger naturally had no reason to refuse. Lin Chen smiled, then told her his home address, and after that the two of them boarded their respective carriages. "Old Liu, the Yi family has many people with loose lips. I hope you can keep this secret for me." After the carriage started, Lin Chen said to the coachman, Old Liu, who was driving, "Young master-in-law, rest assured, keeping one's mouth shut is the basic skill of us coachmen." Old Liu replied. Lin Chen wasn't sure if he could do it, but he could only trust him. He couldn't just kill him to silence him, right? Lin Chen felt like he had become a bit arrogant. If it were before, he definitely would have chosen to run away instead of rushing up to help. As the saying goes, harboring a sharp weapon gives rise to murderous intentions. Along with the continuous improvement of his strength, he had obviously become somewhat bloated with pride. That's right, bloated with pride. Definitely not because he coveted the beauty of Shui Binger and her sister. After entering Heaven Du City, the carriage Lin Chen was riding in parted ways with Tianshui Academy's carriage. Not even a single goodbye was exchanged. Getting off the carriage, Lin Chen gave old Liu some gold coins. Old Liu accepted them very naturally. Lin Chen gave them every time. If he didn't want them, he would force them on him. Old Liu had long since gotten used to it. Little system received the reward. Returning home, Lin Chen issued instructions to the system at the first moment. As soon as his command fell, a surge of energy instantly poured into his body. Lin Chen could clearly feel that his control over the authority of calamity was strengthening, and at the same time, that power exclusive to the authority was also growing stronger. He closed his eyes slightly, sensing it carefully. A moment later, Lin Chen slowly opened his eyes, the corners of his mouth curling up unconsciously. Titled Douluo, are they very strong? The enhancement of the authority's power actually didn't have much significance, because with his current strength, he couldn't even fully unleash 1/10 of the authority's power. The key lay in the expansion of the authority's range. Starting from today, he would no longer just be a plague god who could only bring some bad luck and illnesses to people, but a true god of calamity capable of inflicting disasters. He now possessed the ability to summon natural disasters. Although limited by his own strength, he couldn't summon too powerful of a natural disaster, but dealing with some ordinary titled Douluo shouldn't be a problem. Chapter 115, Quack Dr. Tang San. Having acquired the means to threaten a titled Douluo, Lin Chen was in a great mood. Let's inflict a calamity on Heozi to celebrate. With a blink of his eyes, countless karma lines had already appeared before him. This time he did not form any hand seals. Inflicting a calamity by thought alone was an ability brought about by the enhancement of his authority of calamity, and now he no longer needed to rely on hand seals for assistance. Locking onto the karma line belonging to Tang Hao, Lin Chen mobilized half of his spirit power and sent it to Tang Hao in the form of bad luck. Why only half? With the improvement of his authority of calamity and spirit power rank, if he went all out, even just bad luck would be enough to kill Tang Hao. There were only so many titled Douluos on the entire continent, and he was still counting on using them to farm more rewards. What Lin Chen did not know was that the current Tang Hao had long since lost the strength of a titled Douluo, and was now a spirit Douluo. Dad, are you ready? At Shrek Academy, Tang San looked at Tang Hao with a solemn expression, while the latter sat expressionlessly on a bench with his upper body bare. Beside Tang San was a small table, on which various jars, cans, and fine needles were placed. Following the re-establishment of contact between Xiaogang and Bibaidong, Tang San could have whatever he wanted, whether it was special ore or precious medicinal herbs. Come to think of it, it was quite a coincidence. Many precious medicinal herbs from his previous life unexpectedly existed in this world, and even if they didn't, near-perfect substitutes could be found. With the medicinal herbs, Tang San could naturally help his dad treat his hidden injuries. After several years of effort, and consuming a massive amount of precious medicinal herbs, the hidden injuries on his dad's body had been mostly treated by him. Yet for some reason, even though the hidden injuries were almost completely healed, his dad's strength had never recovered. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Not to mention recovering to his peak, he couldn't even step back into the realm of a titled Douluo. After a long period of observation and research, Tang San felt that it was probably because his dad's damaged origin Kai had not yet recovered. Therefore, he asked his teacher to request quite a few precious medicinal herbs, capable of nourishing origin Kai from Spirit Hall. After months of supplementation, his dad's origin Kai had also recovered substantially, and Tang San felt that it only needed a final stimulation through acupuncture to complete the process. Come on! The current Tang Hao had unprecedented confidence in Tang San. After all, the numerous hidden injuries on his body had indeed been mostly cured by him. Although he didn't understand where those messy things of his came from, recovering his strength was the current priority. All right. Tang San said no more, picked up a fine needle, roasted it slightly over an oil lamp, and then drove it directly into one of Tang Hao's acupoints. His hand was very steady, and the depth of the needle insertion was just right. The first few needles didn't produce much reaction, but after subsequent needles went in, Tang Hao could clearly feel his body inexplicably beginning to heat up. Is it working? Tang Hao didn't know if that was a normal reaction, but as long as there was a reaction, it was a good thing. What he feared most was having no reaction at all. However, what the two of them did not know was that a ball of black kai between Tang Hao's eyebrows was spreading towards his entire body. Soon, Tang Hao's upper body was covered with dense fine needles, making him look like a hedgehog. Tang San asked, "Dad, how does it feel?" Tang Hao replied, "It's a bit hot, and it feels like some energy is surging inside my body." Tang San's eyes involuntarily lit up. What he wanted to do was stimulate his dad's potential, thereby allowing him to return to the realm of a titled Douluo, and that energy was the manifestation of his potential. Of course, the premise was that his dad had already reached the titled Douluo level before. If he hadn't reached that realm in the first place, no matter how much he stimulated him, it wouldn't work. It had to be assisted by a heaven and earth treasure. Just like how he currently had no way to help his teacher achieve a breakthrough to rank 29. And although Spirit Hall had found many precious medicinal herbs he was familiar with, not even a shadow of a heaven and earth treasure had been seen. But that was also normal. If a heaven and earth treasure were that easy to find, it wouldn't be called a heaven and earth treasure. Tang San no longer hesitated and began applying needles to his dad's lower body. Tang Hao's thighs, calves, and soles soon became covered with dense fine needles as well. His skin visibly turned rosy. At this moment, Tang Hao felt as if he had been placed inside a furnace, his entire body unbearably scorching hot, with sweat streaming down like a small stream. Yet his dormant spirit power still remained like stagnant water. "Dad, I'm going to start. Follow my rhythm to mobilize your spirit power, and make sure your spirit power can keep up with my rhythm. It cannot be fast, nor can it be slow. Otherwise, not only will all previous efforts be wasted, but it might also produce the opposite effect and cause you to drop in realm again." Hearing this, Tang Hao's expression instantly turned solemn. He only had the strength of a spirit Douluo now. If he dropped in realm again, wouldn't he directly drop to a spirit saint? Come on! Tang Hao took a deep breath and secretly controlled the spirit power within his body. Huiyan. As Tang San's voice fell, he flicked his finger against the fine needle stuck in the Huiyan acupoint, and his spirit power burrowed into Tang Hao's body along with the flicking motion. At the same time, Tang Hao also timely circulated his spirit power to the Huiyan acupoint. The eruption of potential could not be accomplished overnight. It required some external force for stimulation, and Tang San's spirit power was that external force. Wild! Tang San closely followed up by uttering the second acupoint, and his fingers moved accordingly. Tang Hao did not dare to slack off in the slightest. Tang San guided Tang Hao at a rate of 1 acupoint per second to mobilize his spirit power to circulate according to the cosmic orbit, and his spirit power also burrowed into every acupoint accordingly. With the continuous stimulation of internal energy and external force, Tang Hao clearly felt that the spirit power, which had been like stagnant water, became active, vaguely giving him the feeling he had back when he was making a breakthrough to titled Douluo. It's going to succeed. That familiar feeling made Tang Hao's mood instantly become excited. 4 years, a full 4 years. Having fallen from the once lofty titled Douluo to the realm of a spirit Douluo for 4 years, that was definitely a torture that surpassed any form of torture in the world. And now, he was finally going to return to his peak. However excited as he was and thrilled as he felt, Tang Hao did not dare to relax his mind. He didn't want to drop in realm again. Shank! Tang San uttered 2 more words and flicked the fine needle on the shank acupoint with his finger. This was already the last acupoint. As long as the spirit power passed through the shank acupoint and then returned to the Danshan, the cosmic orbit could be completed, and that stimulated spirit power could help him return to the titled Douluo realm. Tang Hao mustered up his 120% spirit and continued to maintain his previous rhythm. Spirit returns to the Danshan. As Tang San's 4 words fell, Tang Hao's spirit power, which had completed a full cycle, returned to the Danshan. Boom! The spirit power returning to the Danshan was like a flame falling into an oil field, instantly detonating all the spirit power inside Tang Hao's Danshan. They simultaneously surged out of the Danshan. Tang Hao was overjoyed and hurriedly controlled them to impact the bottleneck. Huh! Tang Hao's smile froze on his face, because he discovered that those spirit powers were completely out of his control, ramming about crazily in his meridians like madmen. Chapter 116, Father and Son Doubting Life. The violent spirit power rampaged through Tang Hao's meridians, causing his kai and blood to churn violently, and it surged uncontrollably towards his throat. Puff! Warm blood spurted from Tang Hao's mouth, instantly splashing all over Tang San's face. Dad! Tang San was shocked out of his wits, completely unable to care about the bloodstains on his face, and hurriedly stepped forward to check on Dad's condition. He grabbed Tang Hao's wrist and began to probe the condition inside his body. Feeling the utterly terrible condition inside Tang Hao's body, Tang San froze completely, his expression filled with disbelief. How could this happen? If Dad hadn't kept up with his rhythm halfway through, such a conflict might have happened, but the problem was that the spirit power had already smoothly returned to the Danshan. It had clearly succeeded already, why would it still end up like this? Tang San did not understand. Little San. Tang Hao's face was pale, full of pain, and his fists were clenched even tighter. Quick, pull out the needles. He wanted to forcibly suppress the riotous spirit power, only to find that those fine needles had become the biggest obstacle. Okay. Tang San only then snapped back to his senses and hurriedly began to pull the needles out for Tang Hao. Even though his speed was very fast, the damage caused to him by the riotous spirit power inside Tang Hao's body was multiplying every second. His meridians were faintly failing to support it and had already suffered damage. Although that kind of damage was not particularly serious, the riotous spirit power inside his body seemed to have found an outlet. It rushed like crazy toward the damaged area. Spirit power leakage was not as simple as just spirit power consumption. This kind of leakage was irreversible, being a loss of the spirit power origin. Tang Hao's spirit power rank was rapidly dropping. Rank 88, rank 87. In just a few dozen seconds from start to finish, Tang Hao's spirit power rank dropped all the way from rank 89 to rank 81. It was on the verge of falling to the spirit saint realm. It was also at this moment that Tang San finally pulled out the last fine needle, and Tang Hao also forcibly pressed all the spirit power back into his Danshan at the very first moment. Puff! Riotous spirit power wasn't so easy to suppress. Tang Hao couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of fresh blood, and his face instantly turned even paler. Although this action added injury to injury, it at least managed to preserve his realm. Quick, give me the medicinal materials to repair my meridians. The spirit power was pressed back, but if the damaged meridians couldn't be repaired, then the drop in realm would only be a matter of time. Fortunately, Bibai Dong was generous enough to send quite a few precious medicinal materials to the trash gang. Oh, okay. Not daring to be distracted, Tang San hurriedly took out the pre-blended medicinal liquid that had the effect of repairing meridians from his storage spirit tool. That was what remained from repairing Tang Hao's hidden injuries over the past few years. He opened the cork and fed it to Tang Hao's mouth. Tang Hao tilted his head back slightly and swallowed all the medicinal liquid poured into his mouth into his stomach. However, because he temporarily dared not mobilize his spirit power, he could only quietly wait for the medicinal effects to take place, and this process was very slow. Dad, I'm sorry, I didn't know it would turn out like this. Looking at Dad's pale face, Tang San was full of guilt, but after apologizing, he felt it had no substantial meaning. Tang Hao ignored Tang San. His mind was now entirely focused on the condition inside his body, and he simply didn't have the energy to listen to Tang San's hindsight apology. His condition right now was very bad, even worse than before his hidden injuries were cured. It was really hard to imagine that in just a few dozen seconds from start to finish, the injuries he suffered were even more severe than the heavy blows he had endured several times previously. In the past, his origin Kai was only severely injured, but now his origin was damaged. If one could say there was still hope to return to the titled Douluo realm in the past, then now he probably didn't have the slightest bit of hope left. Even if Little San could still heal his injuries, it was completely hopeless. Tang Hao didn't know how to describe his current mood. Anger was definitely there, but the one who made him look like this was his son. What use was it even if he was angry again? Could he possibly kill his own biological son to vent his anger? Moreover, Little San had already told him about the possible risks beforehand, and it was he himself who failed to resist the temptation to return to the peak. Who could this be blamed on? Looking at his father, who didn't say a word, aside from being filled with self-blame, a surge of anger also involuntarily grew in Tang San's heart. He felt angry at his own incompetence. He clearly wanted to help Dad return to the peak, but in the end, not only did it fail, but instead he harmed Dad into this current state. Why was he so useless? In his past life, he was an unmatched prodigy in the Tang sect. How could he have become so unbearable in this lifetime? He didn't understand, he really didn't understand. Since God gave him a chance to start all over again, shouldn't a smooth-sailing life be waiting for him? Why was his life in this lifetime even harder than in his past life? Right after stepping into the Spirit Master's world, he lost a man's dignity, and subsequently suffered continuous insults, and the girl he loved also ran away. Dad even suffered heavy blows twice in succession, because of his stupidity and incompetence. This life filled with misfortune everywhere made Tang San involuntarily recall what Lin Chen said back then at Notting Academy. Was teacher really a disaster star, and was a disaster star really this terrifying? In the past, he didn't believe in these things, but now recalling everything he had experienced, his heart inexplicably wavered a bit. Tang Hao, who gradually calmed down, also began to doubt life. The previous omen of breakthrough could not be faked, which showed that Little San's treatment had no problem. It was just that something went wrong at the end for some unknown reason. This made him involuntarily associate it with the experiences of everyone in Shrek over the past few years. Whether it was him, Little San, or others in Shrek over the years, they had directly or indirectly encountered some inexplicable accidents. Ranging from choking while eating, to going astray during Cultivate, or encountering danger while hunting a spirit ring. In short, someone had bad luck almost every month. Tang Hao had never forgotten his disaster star destiny, but because Little San had been treating him all these years, it was really inconvenient for him to leave. Today's encounter was perhaps the backlash accumulated over these years. There was just one point he couldn't figure out. Why weren't the people of Saint Spirit Village affected? Could there be something special about that place? Dad, must the conflict of twin spirits be solved by relying on teacher? Tang San was really a bit scared. He wanted to leave teacher, but Dad had said before that twin spirits had flaws. And only teacher could help him solve those flaws. To be exact, it's his ex-girlfriend, because in history, the only twin spirits that cultivated to the realm of titled Douluo belonged to his ex-girlfriend. Tang Hao's face was filled with helplessness. If he didn't want to rely on Xiaogang to get the method to solve the twin spirits' conflict from Bibaidong, how could he possibly let Little San take him as a master? How could that kind of trash be worthy of his son? Tang San asked, if I find a way to get the method from him in advance, won't he be of no use anymore? Hearing this, Tang Hao was instantly stunned. Wasn't Little San always quite respectful to him? What was wrong with him today? Chapter 117, Little Actions Under the Table. Time flies in an instant, a month passes. Over the course of a month or so, Lin Chen's spirit power rank didn't change much, What changed was that two girls would frequently appear by his side. These two girls were none other than Shui Binja and Shui Yuya. Whenever Tianshui Academy had a holiday, the two of them would run over to Heaven Du City to find Lin Chen to play, and their relationship gradually grew familiar. As for Yi Lingeling, the bold words had already been spoken back then, and now that Lin Chen was truly starting to flirt with other girls, what could she do? The only thing she could do now was to find a way to secure her status as the older sister. How to secure it? Of course, it was by becoming Lin Chen's woman, a step ahead of the Shui Binja sisters. Lin Chen, teacher Qin Ming plans to take us to Balak Kingdom to witness the so-called true genius in his words. Do you want to go with us? At the restaurant dining table, Yi Lingeling, who was sitting opposite, suddenly asked. Since they were going on a long trip, staying in a hotel was definitely inevitable, and Yi Lingeling felt this was a very good opportunity. An opportunity to truly become Lin Chen's woman. All right, when are we leaving? Lin Chen immediately agreed, just in time to take the opportunity to check out his seventh ring. Yi Lingeling said, a quiet morning. Lin Chen nodded, all right. Du Guyan, who was sitting next to Yi Lingeling, suddenly said, acquired Shui Binja and her sister should come, shouldn't you find someone to notify them? It would have been fine not to mention it, but once brought up, Du Guyan got somewhat annoyed. If Lin Chen was some kind of dedicated person, that would be that. No matter how much she liked him, it would be impossible for her to snatch a man from her own best friend. Yet Lin Chen was not. What was most infuriating was that scumbag didn't flirt with her, who was close at hand, but insisted on flirting with the Shui Binja sisters, far away in Tianshui City. Was she really that unappealing in his eyes? If you hadn't mentioned it, I really would have forgotten. Lin Chen only then remembered that tomorrow afternoon the Spirit Master Academy would have a holiday, and if there was nothing else, the Shui Binja sisters would most likely come to look for him unacquired. Yi Lingeling acted as if she hadn't heard. What kind of woman was suitable to be the legitimate wife? She didn't necessarily have to be very pretty, but she must be sensible. If she could have a little background, that would be even better. She considered her appearance and figure to be not bad at all. And although the Yi family was not some top-tier clan, with a spirit Douluo holding down the fort, it could barely be considered a first-rate clan. As long as she was more sensible, the position of legitimate wife would unquestionably belong to her. After all, no matter what, she was Lin Chen's first girlfriend and was about to become his first woman. What did the Shui Binja sisters have to compete with her? Seeing this, Du Guyan was so angry that her teeth itched, yet she could do nothing about him. Was this dead piece of wood blind? Thinking over and over, Du Guyan felt that she had to take the initiative. Lingeling could even accept those two outsiders, the Shui Binja sisters, so she surely couldn't fail to accept her good best friend, right? Thinking of this, she raised her leg under the table. Lin Chen picked up a piece of meat, just preparing to send it into his mouth, when his actions suddenly paused. He instinctively looked at Yi Lingeling. But he saw that the other party was lowering her head to eat, and no abnormality could be seen in her expression. Could it not be her? That shouldn't be the case. If not her, then who else could it be? It couldn't possibly be Du Guyan, right? Holding some uncertain doubt, Lin Chen turned his head to look at Du Guyan, only to see the latter looking at him with a smiling expression. Lin Chen was instantly dazed. He hadn't seen any thoughts she had towards him before. How come she suddenly started acting wantonly? Did she take the wrong medicine? Lin Chen's dazed expression made Du Guyan very satisfied. And furthermore, this behavior made her inexplicably feel a bit thrilled. She stole a glance at Yi Lingeling, found that she had no reaction, and thus became even bolder. Lin Chen's pupils shrank abruptly, and he also stole a glance at Yi Lingeling. Seeing she had no reaction, he glared fiercely at Du Guyan. The latter acted as if she hadn't seen it, and her actions grew increasingly arrogant. That's right. Yi Lingeling suddenly raised her head, startling the two of them out of nowhere. Du Guyan's foot was even frightened into immediately shrinking back. Yanzi, have you heard? Ah, what? Du Guyan, who was pretending to eat earnestly, raised her head to look at her with a face full of doubt. Not to mention, she pretended quite convincingly. Yilingling looked around left and right, then lowered her voice and said, I heard from Grandpa that the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School seems to have intentions of submitting to Heaven Do. Lin Chen looked at her with a face full of astonishment. That couldn't be possible, right? Although the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School no longer had a titled Douluo holding down the fort, there were still many spirit masters related by marriage to the Enning family supporting it. Among them, there were no lack of powerhouses at the level of Spirit Douluo and Spirit Saint. Perhaps it was no longer as glorious as the upper 3 sects, but it could barely contend with the lower 4 sects. How could it directly submit under the command of the Heaven Do imperial family? Even if Ning Fengzhai agreed, the other members of the Enning clan wouldn't agree, right? After all, able to be free and unfettered, who would be willing to go and be a dog for the imperial family? Emperor Zhuyi has this thought, but Ning Fengzhai didn't agree. Now that the message has leaked out, it's probably intended to force him to submit. While Du Guyan answered, her foot began to act mischievously again, and moreover, the tactile sensation this time had changed. She had actually taken off her shoes. Lin Chen opened and closed his legs, directly clamping onto her foot. Is that so? Yilingling's face revealed a look of sudden realization, completely unaware of the abnormality between the two. However, I feel that Emperor Zhuyi's methods are a bit crude. If he does this, it might just push the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School to Spirit Hall's side. Even though Du Guyan was trying to pull out her foot, her voice remained very steady. Lin Chen's left hand stealthily placed itself under the table. Du Guyan's body suddenly stiffened. While frantically suppressing the corners of her mouth, she glared fiercely at Lin Chen. The latter acted as if he hadn't seen it, picking up a piece of meat on his own and tossing it into his mouth. I feel it shouldn't be the case. After all, those traitors of their sect all ran off to Spirit Hall, so Ning Fengzhai wouldn't be able to swallow his pride, right? Yilingling analyzed it very seriously. That's true. Du Guyan felt extremely uncomfortable all over, to the extent that her voice when speaking seemed somewhat strange, causing Yilingling to unconsciously turn her head to look at her. What's wrong with you? Lin Chen hurriedly stopped his action. Cough, it's nothing, I choked a bit. Du Guyan gave a dry cough, her cheeks flushing slightly. Nobody is competing with you. Yilingling gave her an unamused look, then poured her a glass of fruit juice. Thank you. After Du Guyan thanked her, she picked up the cup of water and started drinking, while simultaneously casting a stealthy glare at Lin Chen. As if saying, still not letting go. But Lin Chen directly ignored it. Didn't you like to play? Then I'll let you play to your heart's content. Thinking of this, Lin Chen suddenly exerted some strength with his hand. Cough, cough. Du Guyan felt pain, and instantly coughed the water she had just drank back into the cup. Yilingling. Chapter 118, Du Guyan's home-stealing record. No, you choke on your food and cough on your water. Before Lin Chen finished speaking, his face was full of pity. Hearing this, Du Guyan was so angry her teeth itched, yet she could do nothing to him. She only applied a little more force with her foot. This time, Lin Chen didn't continue to hold her back, letting her pull her foot back instead. You can't even eat a meal without making people worry. Yilingling gently stroked her back, a look of speechlessness plastered across her face. Du Guyan. Having learned her lesson this time, Du Guyan was obviously much better behaved. She didn't cause any more trouble halfway through. I'm going to the restroom. Just as they were about to finish eating, Yilingling stood up and went to the restroom. Du Guyan did not follow her. What kind of stunt are you trying to pull? Seeing Yilingling disappear around the corner, Lin Chen asked in a low voice. However, Du Guyan just smiled charmingly. Just tell me if it's thrilling or not. Lin Chen said speechlessly, thrilling my ass, what would happen if you actually succeeded? Will I even be able to go out later? Du Guyan chuckled and said, you can just resolve it in the restroom. Lin Chen. Seeing the speechless look on his face, Duguyan added with a charming expression. I can help you, no matter what method. What on earth do you want to do? Lin Chen frowned slightly, failing to understand what play she was putting on. Duguyan stated bluntly, I like you. Lin Chen. Duguyan continued, the reason I didn't show it before was because Yi Lingling is my best friend, but Shui Binger and the others can do it, why can't I? Lin Chen. Will you or won't you give me a straight answer? I Duguyan am not that kind of shameless person. If you don't like me, I will never pester you. Duguyan boldly looked straight into Lin Chen's eyes. Lin Chen said indifferently, handle Yi Lingling's side yourself. Since someone was practically throwing herself at him for free, what reason did he have to refuse? However, she and Yi Lingling were best friends after all, so Lin Chen still had to consider Yi Lingling's feelings. But Duguyan asked, why handle it? Lin Chen. Duguyan asked, don't you think sneaking around is very thrilling? Lin Chen. What kind of damn fetish is this? What if Yi Lingling finds out in the future? How would that happen? Some things cannot be done sneakily, especially since she was Yi Lingling's best friend. Duguyan smiled and said, I like that feeling. Just as Lin Chen was about to say something, he saw Yi Lingling walking over. Let's go. A faint smile was plastered on Yi Lingling's face, completely oblivious to the fact that her best friend was plotting to steal her home. The two of them stood up one after another and left the restaurant directly. They had a membership, so they didn't need to pay the bill, it was just deducted. Do you still want to go somewhere else to stroll? Duguyan didn't have the slightest self-awareness of being a third wheel. As soon as they went out, she hooked her arm around Yi Lingling's, leaving her with no chance to slump against Lin Chen. Yi Lingling looked toward Lin Chen. Lin Chen said, it doesn't matter to me, it mainly depends on you too. Yi Lingling said, then let's go back. She was already tired of strolling around Heaven Do City, she'd better save some enthusiasm for the Balak Kingdom. Alright, forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. It was getting quite late, so naturally, the two girls couldn't go to his house. The three of them parted ways right there. What caught Lin Chen off guard was that when he returned home, Duguyan had actually arrived a step ahead and was blocking his front door. I was afraid you'd feel uncomfortable, so I came to see if there's any place I can help. Duguyan looked generous and at ease, but a layer of shy blush was also stained on her face, though it wasn't so obvious under the night. Lin Chen. They had known each other for so many years, yet the other party had never shown even the slightest bit of admiration toward him, to suddenly come on so fiercely. Who could possibly withstand this? Lin Chen took a deep breath and looked at her with a serious face. You better have thought this through. Some things once done, it's too late to regret. He didn't know whether the other party truly liked him or was playing some tricks, but once she stepped through this door, it would be too late if she wanted to regret it. With this fire stirred up, Lin Chen wouldn't let her leave easily. Looking at his serious expression, Duguyan inexplicably felt a bit guilty, subconsciously turning her head to the side, not daring to meet his gaze. Open the door quickly, where did all this nonsense come from? Although Duguyan was a little scared inside, she didn't show the slightest bit of backing down on her lips. Seeing this, Lin Chen didn't talk nonsense anymore. He took out his key, walked closer, and opened the courtyard gate. Duguyan zipped right inside with a whoosh. Without waiting for Lin Chen, she walked into the bedroom on her own and turned on the soul guidance lamp. The soul guidance lamp was installed by Lin Chen later. He felt that living in this small courtyard was quite cozy, so he bought it and installed many facilities like soul guidance lamps, spending quite a few gold coins. Looking at the light in the bedroom, Lin Chen couldn't help shaking his head. He walked into the courtyard and turned to close the gate. When he came into the bedroom, he saw Duguyan standing by the bed at a complete loss. Her slightly flushed cheeks appeared extra clear under the illumination of the soul guidance lamp, showing that she wasn't as bold as she looked on the surface. Eyes, I have to go back later, you try to be quick. Duguyan lowered her head, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. She wouldn't dare stay out all night, otherwise her grandfather would definitely deal with her. It might even implicate Lin Chen. Given her grandfather's personality, he might not do anything to Lin Chen, but he would definitely force him to give up Yi Lingling, which was something Du Guyan didn't want to see. That was also the reason why she wanted to sneak around and not tell Yi Lingling. Lin Chen walked slowly closer. His footsteps sounded exceptionally clear in the silent room, and every step trod on Du Guyan's heart, causing her heartbeat to constantly accelerate. Even before Lin Chen arrived, her breathing involuntarily became hurried. And when Lin Chen stood in front of her, her cheeks were already so rosy they were about to drip blood, and her body inexplicably softened a bit. Lin Chen reached out his right hand, extended his index finger, and hooked her chin. Du Guyan raised her neck following the force. However, at this moment, her eyes were tightly closed, and she didn't dare to look at Lin Chen at all. Looking at her red cheeks, a trace of a smile couldn't help but surface on Lin Chen's face, while a bit of mischievous teasing also arose in his heart. He didn't rush to take the next step, just looking at her quietly like that. Seeing that he made no move for a long time, Du Guyan opened one eye to steal a peek. Seeing the playful look all over Lin Chen's face, the blush on Du Guyan's cheeks instantly began to spread rapidly, and even her neck was stained with a layer of red. Driven by exasperation, Du Guyan abruptly hooked her arm around Lin Chen's neck, pulled him down forcefully, and stood on her tiptoes to kiss him proactively. There was no technique, just brute force. Feeling her clumsiness, Lin Chen inexplicably wanted to laugh inside. He reached out both hands, hooking her waist with his left hand, and letting his right hand fall on the back of her head. MMPH. Feeling Lin Chen's intense response, Du Guyan's originally closed eyes suddenly snapped open. So it's like this. Chapter 119. Du Guyan successfully steals the house. After the two embraced and kissed for a moment, Lin Chen's hands began to wander mischievously. Du Guyan's body visibly stiffened, but she recovered in just a flash, and being naturally unwilling to admit defeat, she naturally wouldn't let Lin Chen take the lead. Her hands also began to wander mischievously. Lin Chen raised his head, causing Du Guyan's movements to stiffen accordingly. She opened her eyes with a face full of confusion. Lin Chen slowly helped smooth her hair, prompting her to close her eyes once more, while her breathing unconsciously grew rapid and heavy. A moment later, Lin Chen took a slight step back, quietly admiring her. Seeing that he had stopped moving again, Du Guyan was so angry that her teeth itched. She abruptly opened her eyes. "What are you standing there stunned for?" Lin Chen. Daring to interrupt the mood, this woman was simply a complete mood killer. "Don't rush, you'll know soon enough." Lin Chen quickly straightened his clothes, then stepped forward, swept her up by the waist in one fluid motion, and placed her straight onto the bed. Time trickled away bit by bit, and the night grew deeper and deeper. Who knows how much time had passed? The room returned to peace once more, and the two leaned side by side against the head of the bed to rest. Du Guyan slumped limply against Lin Chen's chest. She only felt somewhat exhausted right now, unable to muster up much strength. Even if someone were to storm in right now, she probably wouldn't want to resist at all. Right now, she just wanted to lie quietly and have a good sleep. Lin Chen leaned against the head of the bed, letting Du Guyan lie prone on his body. "Lin Chen." Du Guyan suddenly spoke, her voice revealing a thick sense of exhaustion. "HM. I have no strength left, but I have to go back. What should I do?" Du Guyan was filled with helplessness. She really didn't want to move right now, yet she didn't dare linger here at Lin Chen's place. Otherwise, Grandpa would definitely come looking for her later. "Isn't this simple?" Lin Chen smiled slightly, and the spirit power within his body quietly circulated. Following closely, a faint blue halo shone from his right leg, and the outline of a complete blue right leg bone subsequently emerged. Lin Chen raised his right hand, pointing with a sword finger to tap lightly at the center of Du Guyan's eyebrows. The blue halo poured into Du Guyan's body, and the exhaustion on her body completely faded away. Even the injuries she had just sustained recovered in an instant. In just the blink of an eye, everything about her had restored to how it was beforehand. She had once again turned back into an untouched maiden. Du Guyan sat up, her expression as she looked at Lin Chen filled with sheer disbelief. Lin Chen's healing spirit ability, wouldn't it be barely any weaker even compared to Lang Lang's? What kind of spirit did he actually have? Having such strong combat power was one thing, but even his healing methods were so outstanding. Du Guyan had been lying prone on Lin Chen's chest the entire time, and hadn't seen the shining spirit bone, so she simply assumed that was a spirit ability brought by Lin Chen's spirit ring. What is it? Still want some? Lin Chen looked at her with a beaming smile, teasing her playfully. Du Guyan's, however, nodded heavily. I want to, but you were too slow. If I don't go back now, something bad is going to happen. Lin Chen. The other party clearly said she was slow, but why did he inexplicably have the feeling that she was saying he was fast? Lin Chen asked, do you want to take a bath? The lingering aura on her body certainly couldn't be hidden from Du Gubo, who was a titled Douluo. All right. Du Guyan wasn't stupid either. She immediately got up and walked into the ensuite bathroom belonging to the room. Lin Chen also got up and followed her in. Asia, what are you coming in for? Seeing that Lin Chen had also come in, Du Guyan tried to push him out in exasperation. Lin Chen said speechlessly, still feeling shy. No, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold back. Du Guyan's face was flushed with embarrassment. Lin Chen. He was thus pushed out of the bathroom flatly by Du Guyan. Looking at the closed bathroom door, Lin Chen shook his head helplessly. He walked to the bedside and sat down, quietly waiting. Du Guyan's bath speed was very fast. After all, time was a bit rushed. Only then did Lin Chen walk into the bathroom. No need for you to see me off, I'm leaving. After getting dressed, Du Guyan stripped off Lin Chen's bedsheet and stored it inside her spirit tool, then shouted toward the inside of the bathroom and ran off. Lin Chen. When he came out of the bathroom, Du Guyan's figure was already long gone from the room. And a bedsheet had also been lost. Lin Chen shook his head, took out another bedsheet and laid it down. For once he did not cultivate and directly entered dreamland. Early the next morning, Lin Chen came to the street to have breakfast, and then arrived at the post station, having them deliver the written letter to Shui Binger and her sister at top speed. Tomorrow he was heading to Shrek Academy, and just the round-trip journey would take at least over half a month. If slower, a month wasn't impossible either. Plus, staying there for a few days, a month's time was definitely needed. However, Lin Chen didn't mention specifically when he would return in the letter, only saying that when he got back, he would go find them at Tianshui Academy. After mailing the letter, Lin Chen strolled casually around Heaven Du City. Of course, he wasn't strolling purely just to stroll. It was mainly to farm rewards, a habit he had cultivated over these past few years. If he didn't farm for a single day, his whole body would itch. Your Highness, please stay your step. Lin Chen suddenly saw a familiar figure and didn't hesitate to call out to the other party. Zhu King had paused his steps and turned around to look. It's you. Being in Heaven Du City, Lin Chen was on good terms with Du Gubo's granddaughter. How could the two of them not run into each other? Qian Rengxu hadn't expected that the lost youth she met back then in Sunset Forest actually had intricate connections with the Yi family and the Dugu family. It's just that although they had crossed paths a few times, they didn't have much interaction. Calamity against Qian Rengxu successful, obtained reward, system granted spirit ring ×1. Lin Chen rejoiced inwardly. Over the past few years, he had already accumulated 6 system granted spirit rings. Adding this one made 7. If Zyro Wu, Da Ming, and Ming were also counted, then he was only 2 system-granted spirit rings away from completion. Although the number of 100,000-year spirit beasts wasn't large, finding 2 of them was still manageable. In other words, even if the system couldn't refresh any more system-granted spirit rings in the future, he could still manage to get enough 100,000-year spirit rings, or even a million-year spirit ring. Once he stepped into titled Douluo, I'm afraid even semi-divine rank figures like Qian Dailiu and Bo Saixi would definitely not be his match. Your Highness, why are you strolling casually alone on the street? Lin Chen's expression didn't change. He glanced left and right before asking. He had seen Qian Renxiu quite a few times, and every time there were at least 2 guards following by her side, but today not a single person was to be seen. This certainly didn't fit her identity. Of course, this had nothing to do with Lin Chen. He was simply making conversation out of nothing. After all, he couldn't just call out to someone and then have nothing to say, could he? Chapter 120, Doing Their Own Things. Just wandering around, what about you? How come I haven't seen your little girlfriend today? Qian Renxiu asked with a smile in return. School hasn't let out yet, has it? As soon as Lin Chen's voice fell, he immediately added another sentence. Then I won't disturb your Highness's fine mood. Having said that, he turned around and left, directly stunning Qian Renxiu. What's wrong with this guy? How come every time she calls out to him, he tries to slip away after only a few words? If you're bad at socializing, why did you call out to me? What a lunatic. Qian Renxiu couldn't help muttering a complaint, then turned around and left. Lin Chen didn't know how speechless Qian Renxiu was, and even if he knew, he wouldn't care. He strolled around the city until noon, and only returned home to cultivate after having lunch. Afternoon. Yilingeling and Dugu Yan came together, bringing a bunch of bananas. Yanzi bought them, have a taste, they are very sweet. Yilingeling plucked a banana, peeled it, and handed it to Lin Chen. Lin Chen took it and glanced at Dugu Yan. However, he saw the other person taking advantage of Yilingeling's inattention to flaunt her skills with a seductive look. Ahem, what do you want to eat tonight? Lin Chen hurriedly withdrew his gaze and looked at Yilingeling as if changing the subject. As for the banana in his hand, after watching Dugu Yan's performance, he really couldn't bring himself to shove it into his mouth. Hearing this, Yilingeling gave a sweet smile. We'll eat at home tonight, I'll let you taste my cooking. Lin Chen was slightly stunned, you can cook too. It was no wonder he was surprised, because he had never heard of her knowing how to cook. Besides, which family's young miss knows how to cook? I specially learned a few dishes from the chef at home. Lin Chen. He seriously doubted whether the things Yilingeling made were actually edible. Beginners cooking, those who know, know. All right, then I'll be your assistant. No need, I can do it myself, just wait to eat. Yilingeling forcefully pressed Lin Chen onto the stool, then turned and walked towards the kitchen. As soon as she went in, she closed the door, as if afraid the 2 of them would go help. Lin Chen looked at Dugu Yan, can she pull it off? Dugu Yan spread her hands, how would I know, I haven't tasted it either. Lin Chen. Dugu Yan stepped forward and sat directly on Lin Chen's lap. Stop messing around, Lingeling is still here. Lin Chen pushed her away and cast a guilty glance at the kitchen. The kitchen had a half-wooden, half-glass door, so he could clearly see Yilingeling inside, and the latter only needed to turn her head to see them. Dugu Yan, however, was unconcerned. Instead, she leaned over and whispered softly in his ear, she does her thing, we do our thing, we won't affect each other. I worked hard and practiced all day today, guaranteed to satisfy you. Her face was charming, and her tone of voice while speaking was full of temptation. Lin Chen. Before Lin Chen could refuse again, Dugu Yan had already slid down along his legs. Damn, not here. Lin Chen instantly panicked, but Dugu Yan acted as if she hadn't heard. Damn. Lin Chen couldn't help letting out a low curse, then turned his back to block Dugu Yan in front of him. Truth be told, Dugu Yan's talent was truly extremely high. In just a single day, she had practiced to the realm of perfection, truly worthy of being a snake-type spirit. Yilingeling was busy in the kitchen. Meanwhile, separated by just a door, Lin Chen and Dugu Yan were also busy. To be precise, Dugu Yan was the one busy. To get it over with as soon as possible, Lin Chen closed his eyes and began to enjoy it. Lin Chen, where are the chilies? Yiling's sudden shout startled Lin Chen so much that his whole body shuddered. Inside the first layer of the cupboard. Lin Chen occasionally cooked too, so the various seasonings in the kitchen were quite complete. Having said that, he couldn't help glancing at Du Guyan. She didn't even pause at all. Did she have to be so bold? "Oh, I found them." Yiling's response came over, but Lin Chen didn't dare turn his head to look at her. Time ticked away bit by bit. Yiling asked about something from time to time, and Lin Chen gave responses. At first he felt a little guilty, but gradually he got used to it afterwards. Who knows how long had passed? Lin Chen's body shuddered, his expression indescribably comfortable. A moment later, Du Guyan stood up, and Lin Chen's expression as he looked at her once more was extremely complicated. Hiccup. Du Guyan couldn't help letting out a hiccup, looking very satisfied. Isn't it very exciting? Du Guyan sat down beside him, purposefully glancing at the kitchen as she spoke. Lin Chen couldn't help rolling his eyes at her. Don't pull this stunt next time. What if Ling finds out? Du Guyan rolled her eyes back at him. Your mouth says no, but your body can't fool me. Lin Chen. Right, to tell you a secret, Ling has prepared a surprise for you. Oh. Lin Chen was slightly stunned. What surprise? Du Guyan acted mysteriously. You'll know once we go to the Balak Kingdom. Lin Chen. If you're going to tell me the whole thing. What the hell is stopping halfway? Isn't this purely keeping people in suspense? Yanzi. Yilingling's shout suddenly came out from the kitchen. Coming. Du Guyan hurried to her feet, wiped her mouth, and walked towards the kitchen. Turns out Yilingling's dishes were already done. 2 meat dishes, 2 vegetarian dishes, and a soup. It was clear that the 2 of them had been busy for quite a while. Du Guyan and Yiling each carried a meat dish and a vegetarian dish out of the kitchen. Looking at the dishes, which had a pretty good appearance, Lin Chen was quite surprised. He looked at Yiling. Did you really make this? It was really hard to imagine that dishes made by a beginner could actually look pretty good. Of course. Yiling was very satisfied with Lin Chen's reaction, lifting her chin with a hint of pride. Come taste the flavor. Forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. She handed a pair of chopsticks that still carried a bit of moisture to Lin Chen. The latter took them and picked up a piece of diced chicken. Lin Chen looked at it carefully for a couple of seconds before tossing it into his mouth. The feeling upon entering the mouth wasn't bad, at least there was no burnt taste. He chewed a couple of times. It was a bit salty, but the problem wasn't big. It hadn't reached the point where it couldn't be swallowed. How is it? Yiling looked at him full of anticipation, awaiting the other's response. Lin Chen nodded. Very good, at least much better than I expected. You have a lot of talent for cooking. He didn't exaggerate too much. Because as the cook, Yiling must have already tasted the dishes she made herself. Exaggerated praise would only make her feel it was fake. It was better to seek truth from facts and give the most realistic and positive evaluation. After all, what she made was indeed quite good. Hey. Hearing this, Yiling immediately couldn't help smiling foolishly. She had indeed tasted it and knew it was a bit salty. But this was already the best time she had made since she started learning. Yiling turned around happily. Soon she brought the soup and rice into the courtyard. The dishes were all a bit salty, but the rice could just neutralize it. How are we going tomorrow? Are we going to rent a carriage at the post station or what? Lin Chen asked suddenly as he ate. Yiling said, You don't need to worry about it, we'll come pick you up tomorrow. Lin Chen nodded, all right then. Chapter 121, Arriving in Sutiu City. After eating and washing the pots and pans, Du Guyan dragged Yiling away early, but before long, she sneaked back all by herself. Because it was still early today, coupled with Lin Chen's healing spirit ability as assistance, Du Guyan completely let go. The traces of the two's battle were spread all over every corner of the home. If it weren't for Lin Chen possessing a physique comparable to a spirit Douluo, he really might not have been able to withstand her uninhibited demands time and time again. It wasn't until the sky completely plunged into darkness that Douluo Yan left with full satisfaction. However, after the two fought bitterly for a long time, Douluo Yan was still a maiden when she left. Lin Chen originally intended to hold back a bit with the healing. After all, in such matters, the first time would inevitably be somewhat painful, and even a spirit master was no exception, but she refused it. She said she was afraid of being detected by her grandfather. However, Lin Chen inexplicably felt that she somewhat had some special traits in her. Half a month later, two luxurious carriages drove into the city from the north gate of Suichuo City. Finally, they stopped in front of a hotel. Qin-Ming, Ojiro, and the others stepped down from the first carriage. Lin Chen and the other two stepped down from the second carriage. First check in, and then you can either rest or stroll around the city. I'll make specific arrangements after I take a trip to the Great Spirit Arena. Qin-Ming said to the crowd. As a graduate of Shrek Academy, he deeply knew that Shrek Academy basically had no specific courses to speak of. Usually, it was either Cultivate or Spirit Battles. If there were any students currently in Shrek Academy, going to the Great Spirit Arena would allow them to gather some information, more or less. If possible, he wanted the students from both sides to get to know each other through spirit battles. It could also just happen to take this opportunity to deflate Douluo Yan and the others' sharpness, and let them take a good look at what a true genius was. With Shrek Academy's recruitment standards, either there were no students, or once there were, they would definitely be top-tier genius spirit masters one by one. Even though Douluo Yan was already a spirit ancestor, Qin-Ming still had absolute confidence in Shrek. All right. The crowd had no objections and walked into the hotel gates together. Lin Chen, what do you say? During the check-in process, Ojiro looked at Lin Chen with winks and grimaces. Yi Lingling glared fiercely at him. You'd better put away your sly tricks. If you laid our Lin Chen astray, just watch how I deal with you. Ojiro. No, am I really such a person in your hearts? Douluo Yan retorted, otherwise. Ojiro wanted to curse but stopped, and in the end, he didn't say anything. He only looked at Lin Chen with a depressed face. It seemed as if he was asking, "What's wrong with you? You won't even say a word to help me." Lin Chen, however, spread his hands with a helpless expression. Yu Feng put his arm around Ojiro's shoulders. Are you out of your mind? You're expecting him to help you talk back to his own girlfriend. Upon hearing this, Ojiro became even more depressed. Seeing this, the crowd couldn't help but burst into hearty laughter. The small episode quickly passed. Everyone present was not short of money, so they each had a room to themselves. Douluo Yan and Yi Lingling were exceptions. All right, you guys look after yourselves and make arrangements. I'm leaving first. Qin-Ming dropped those words and left. Let's go, let's find something to eat. Right now was lunchtime, so Lin Chen and the others naturally couldn't go straight to their rooms. The crowd turned and left the hotel. Although Suichuo City was not as good as Heaven Do City, it was much more prosperous than Niuding City. After asking passers-by, the crowd found a restaurant, just wondering if it was reliable. In a small place like this, can there really be a genius? At the dining table, Ojiro expressed doubt toward Qin-Ming's idea. But Douluo Yan shook her head. There are indeed a few, and they can be considered geniuses, but actually they're just so-so. Oh, hearing Douluo Yan say this, the crowd instantly became interested. Lin Chen was no exception. Douluo Yan explained, outside Suichuo City, there is a substandard spirit master academy named Shrek. Teacher Qin-Ming graduated from there. Hearing this, Yi Lingling and the others suddenly came to a realization. So it was teacher Qin-Ming's alma mater, no wonder he held it in such high regard. This academy is very bizarre. They don't even have a decent venue, but their recruitment requirements are even more outrageous than Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Yi Lingling and the others looked at her in shock, even doubting if they had heard wrong. Not even having a decent venue, yet having recruitment requirements even more exaggerated than Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Which brain-dead person would go to such an academy? Du Guyan smiled and said, to put it bluntly, their teaching staff is limited, and they don't have any particularly good resources, so they want to fool people through unconventional ways. The crowd. Lin Chen nodded inwardly. Her statement wasn't entirely wrong either. However, what Lin Chen didn't expect was that she understood Shrek so well. It seemed she had specially sent people to gather intelligence on Shrek. Shrek Academy only recruits genius spirit masters under 13 years of age, but with a spirit power rank above 21. Consequently, those who can enroll are bound to be geniuses. Hiss. Hearing this, Yi Lingling and the others couldn't help but gasp a breath of cold air. Under 13 years old, above rank 21, without an innate talent of rank 6 or above and the optimal spirit ring configuration, it was simply impossible to achieve. That was indeed very genius. But what kind of Spirit Master Academy couldn't such a genius go to? Why did they have to go to that substandard academy? Was the mimetic Cultivate environment not good, or was expanding connections useless? Don't tell me ever since Shrek was established, they've really fooled quite a few brain-dead people, and teacher Qin Ming is one of them. Du Guyan's face was full of sarcasm. Ahem. Yi Lingling couldn't help but dry cough twice. Is it a bit inappropriate for you to talk about teacher Qin Ming like that? I'm not wrong. If he hadn't joined that substandard academy, his current achievements might even be higher. Just look at his 5th spirit ring. Du Guyan didn't feel there was any problem with her words at all. Hearing this, the crowd instantly fell silent. Yeah, as the 2nd youngest recorded spirit emperor, Qin Ming's 5th ring was only at the 1,000-year level, which truly wasted his talent a bit. Perhaps he had already graduated when hunting for the 5th ring, but if he hadn't gone to Shrek Academy, it definitely wouldn't have been hard to make friends with people capable of helping him hunt spirits. Du Guyan continued, furthermore, ever since Shrek was established, it has recruited a total of more than 40 students, but only 14 of them successfully graduated. That's fine after all, not everyone can meet the graduation requirements of various academies. What makes people most angry is that those students from Shrek who failed to graduate didn't fail because they didn't meet the graduation requirements, but rather because they all died prematurely. What? The crowd was completely dumbfounded, and even Lin Chen couldn't help but be stunned for a second. Chapter 122, Zyro Wu's current status. That was nearly 30 geniuses with innate soul power of at least rank 6. If they hadn't perished prematurely, they could have reached at least the Spirit Emperor realm. Moreover, it was impossible for all of them to be rank 6, rank 7 or 8 was also quite possible. That meant more than 30 geniuses, who were guaranteed to reach the Spirit Emperor realm and had hopes of striving for Spirit Saint, Spirit Douluo. Or even titled Douluo, had simply perished like that. The most crucial part wasn't this premature mortality rate a bit too terrifying? The motto of Shrek Academy is extremely bizarre, saying that those who don't stir up trouble are mediocre. Yet their headmaster is only a spirit saint, with zero capability to back them up. Half of those students who perished prematurely did so because they provoked people they shouldn't have. The other half were caused by hunting spirit beasts, due to the teachers failing to rescue them in time. Everyone was completely speechless. Spirit Master Cultivation was filled with danger everywhere, and death was normal, but their causes of death really left people not knowing what to say. Originally possessing such bright futures, they died in such an inexplicable manner. It was simply infuriatingly suffocating. Lin Chen also fell silent for a long time. Everything Du Guyan said had never been mentioned in the original work. He had a feeling. According to Shrek's enrollment requirements, how could anyone fail to meet the graduation requirements? Turns out they all died before graduation. Failing to rescue in time. It seemed Xuanzi from Douluo II inherited the legacy of the older generation. Outrageous yet logical. Just like cheating in matches was also an old tradition of Shrek. Du Guyan continued to drop bombshells. You probably couldn't imagine this even if beaten to death. A few years ago, their academy also had a food system genius with innate full spirit power die, along with a genius possessing rank 9 innate soul power. Innate full spirit power of the food system. Yilingeling couldn't help exclaiming out loud, and everyone else was also filled with shock. That was an innate full spirit power of the food system. Such a genius could receive key cultivation, no matter which faction they went to, with almost zero possibility of perishing prematurely, yet they just died like that. As for rank 9 innate soul power, although it was also good, and even held hopes of breaking through to title Douluo, compared to a food system genius with innate full spirit power, its value was somewhat inferior. Lin Chen couldn't help rubbing the bridge of his nose. Those two geniuses in her mouth should be Oscar and Ma Hongjun, right? Ojiro asked how did they die. Duguyan, however, looked at Lin Chen. You should know, right?
Oh.
Everyone was slightly stunned in unison, turning their heads to look at Lin Chen. Lin Chen didn't feel there was anything special about it. Whether it was Du Gubo or the Yi family, they had definitely investigated his background. And since Du Guyan had investigated Shrek so clearly, she must know that Ma Hongjun and Oscar died in Newding City, and that they had stayed at Notting Academy. Lin Chen said, the rank 9 innate soul power one was beaten to death by his classmate, while the food system innate full spirit power one was killed by fallen spirit masters when he went out to find their headmaster. Yilingeling asked curiously, how do you know this so clearly? Lin Chen smiled and explained. Everyone instantly felt speechless. Wasn't this a bit too coincidental? Ojiro looked at Du Guyan. What about now? How many students does their academy still have? Du Guyan said indifferently, 4. Lin Chen frowned slightly. How could it be 4? Shouldn't there be 5? Who hasn't returned? Du Guyan continued, among the 4 there are 2 spirit elders and 2 spirit grandmasters. Their ranks aren't high, but their advantage is that they are still quite young. Lin Chen frowned slightly, an ominous premonition rising in the bottom of his heart. Tang San and Zyro Wu's timelines for breaking through to Spirit Elder were about the same. As long as they both broke through, Shrek should have 3 Spirit Elders. Lin Chen turned his head to look at Du Guyan. Who are the 2 Spirit Elders? Du Guyan glanced sideways and said, your fellow townsman, and a prince of the Star Luo Empire, that Dai Mubai who beat the rank 9 innate soul power genius to death. Yilingeling and the others were all stunned. Good grief, a prince of the Star Luo Empire actually ran off to attend school at that kind of backwater academy. Was his brain squeezed by a door? Lin Chen's mind sank slightly. There was actually no Zyro Wu. Was she killed by Tang Hao in advance, or did she die under her own bad luck? It seemed the former possibility was greater. To ensure she wouldn't meet with misfortune, Lin Chen hadn't inflicted any calamity on her over these years. With Tang Hao around, there shouldn't be any issue of being affected by bad luck either. After all, once Zyro Wu encountered danger, Tang Hao would definitely prioritize saving her. Even if Dai Mubai and the others died, Zyro Wu shouldn't have had any mishaps. Oh right. As if suddenly remembering something, Du Guyan slapped her forehead abruptly. She looked at Lin Chen and said that Zyro Wu with innate full spirit power was taken to the Stardew Great Forest to hunt spirit beasts a few years ago and never came back. She probably died too. Hearing this, Lin Chen was slightly stunned. The Stardew Great Forest was Zyro Wu's hometown, after all. Could she die there? The possibility existed, but it wasn't high. However, thinking about this didn't have much meaning. Whether Zyro Wu was dead or alive could be known by returning to the hotel and checking whether her karma line was still there. Yilingeling and the others were left dumbfounded with shock by Du Guyan's words. Good grief, yet another innate full spirit power. Since when did innate full spirit power become so worthless? And they all went to that backwater academy. That was fine on its own. Yet they all died unjustly because of that backwater academy's incompetence. Simply unbelievable. This kind of trash academy deserved to be destroyed. Of course, they were only complaining inwardly. They had no intention of stepping forward to uphold justice. As the saying goes, when something doesn't concern you, hang it high. No matter how rotten Shrek Academy was, what did that have to do with them? As the waiter began serving the dishes, their topic quickly shifted from Shrek to the dishes. The taste, how should one put it? It couldn't be said to be very good, but it wasn't bad either, barely passable. After finishing the meal, everyone strolled around the city for a while and then returned to the hotel. Qin Ming had already returned a step ahead. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to find out any information about Shrek at the Great Spirit Arena. Not knowing whether Flender and the others teaching philosophy had changed, or if they hadn't recruited any students, his heart inevitably felt somewhat uneasy. Surely they wouldn't make a wasted trip. You guys rest well today. Early tomorrow morning I will take you to a place. Since they were already here, returning just like that was definitely impossible. No matter what, they had to go take a look. Everyone didn't say much else. Seeing that Qin Ming had no other instructions, they each returned to their respective rooms. Open. Closing the room door, Lin Chen moved his mind, and the karma eye suddenly activated. Lines of karma surfaced before his eyes. They intertwined with one another, extending in different directions. Lin Chen moved his mind again. The disorderly karma lines vanished, leaving only the last one behind. That was the karma line belonging to Zyro Wu. Since the karma line still existed, it meant Zyro Wu hadn't died. Lin Chen smiled slightly. Why she ran away didn't matter. As long as she was still alive, that was enough. Thud, thud, thud. A knock sounded at the door. Lin Chen put away his karma eye and turned to walk to the door. Chapter 123, You Don't Have to Spoil Me. Lin Chen opened the door, only to see Yi Lingling standing outside. It was just that her attire was somewhat strange. Her entire body was enveloped in a large, black cloak. Even her head wore the hood that came with the cloak. Anyone who didn't know better would think she planned to go out and rob the rich to help the poor. What is this? Lin Chen's face was full of puzzlement, failing to understand what play she was putting on. A flush inexplicably rose on Yi Lingling's face. She did not answer, but instead squeezed past Lin Chen and into the room. Lin Chen didn't think much of it and casually closed the door. But the moment he turned around, he froze completely. He saw that Yi Lingling had untied the strings of her cloak. The large cloak slid down her shoulders, revealing the outfit underneath. The black gauze-textured apparel was no different in style from a strapless hip-wrapping dress, fully displaying her graceful figure to the limit. Most crucially, the black gauze was semi-transparent. The figure beneath the black gauze appeared faintly before Lin Chen's eyes. It made one's bloodline surge just looking at it. Her straight, slender legs were tightly wrapped in over-the-knee black silk stockings. On her feet were a pair of black high heels. Yi Lingling's cheeks were flushed red, but her gaze consistently stared straight at Lin Chen. "It's you!" Yi Lingling suddenly stepped forward, forcibly interrupting Lin Chen's words. "Today, I want to become your woman." She gently leaned against Lin Chen's ear, her breath smelling like orchids. Lin Chen only felt his earlobe tickle a bit. He was about to reach out to embrace her, but was dodged as Yi Lingling took a step back. "Don't rush." Yi Lingling smiled brightly, extending her right hand to signal Lin Chen to hold it. The latter was helpless and could only comply. Yi Lingling led him into the room and gently pushed him down onto the sofa. Then she stepped back 2 paces. He saw her right hand flip, and a black gauze blindfold appeared in her hand. She blindfolded her eyes with the eye mask and tied it neatly at the back of her head. Although she hadn't done anything yet, just that playful and alluring outfit alone made Lin Chen's lower abdomen inexplicably grow warm. The next second, Yi Lingling moved. Her hands landed on her own body, wandering along with her twisting torso. Her gaze and expression were extremely charming. At this moment, she looked far more tender and flexible than a snake. The only flaw was the lack of some music. The lights in the room were also a bit too bright. It would be better if they were dimmer. Lin Chen sat on the sofa, quietly admiring her. Dancing along, Yi Lingling slowly moved in front of him. She took Lin Chen's hand and pulled him up. Then her hands rested on Lin Chen's shoulders, dancing closely against his body. She moved back and forth like a swimming dragon. While dancing her body, she helped Lin Chen strip away all restrictions. Lin Chen's feelings also gradually became more direct and vivid. He could clearly feel an indescribable softness wandering across his body, as if vowing to traverse every corner of his body. The process was very long but not tedious at all. Instead, it made Lin Chen extremely enjoy it. Finally, Yi Lingling kissed his lips. But before Lin Chen could react, she pulled away again. Earlobe, neck, chest. Yi Lingling moved bit by bit, her damp softness traversing every inch of Lin Chen's skin. She didn't even let go of his back. Lin Chen didn't know how she knew so much, nor did he intend to question it further. Right now, he only needed to quietly enjoy it. Two. Lin Chen suddenly heard an exhalation sound, as if she were doing some mental preparation. Before Lin Chen could look, warmth, dampness, and softness had already tightly wrapped it up. Hiss! Lin Chen subconsciously closed his eyes, his expression appearing incomparably comfortable. Yi Lingling's technique was not skilled. It was rather stumbling and clumsy. However, it was still better than Du Guyan's back then, showing that Du Guyan hadn't been practicing alone. Cough. Nothing in the world is difficult for one who sets their mind to it. Yi Lingling gradually entered her groove. Time slowly passed. Unknowingly, Yi Lingling had finished showing off all her techniques. She handed over the initiative to Lin Chen. Rumble. The sound of thunder suddenly rang out, followed by a torrential downpour. However, this did not affect the two of them. They were exceptionally focused, pouring all their energy into a single matter. As the continent's top healing spirit master, Yi Lingling's endurance was unquestionable. Whether it was physical strength or spirit power, she could recover them. This was destined to be a sleepless night, and also a crazy night. Sofa, carpet, bed, bathroom. The traces of the two's battle were spread across every corner of the hotel room. Until dawn was approaching, the battle gradually subsided. Lin Chen. Lin Chen. I'm here. He. Yi Lingling lay flat on Lin Chen's chest, giggling stupidly like a fool. Lin Chen. Do you want to rest for a day? I'll go talk to Qin Ming about it. No need, I'm not tired at all. Yi Lingling shook her head and twisted her body to change into a more comfortable posture. Lin Chen felt somewhat helpless. Spirit masters are indeed different, if this were changed to an ordinary person. Fine. Absolutely no ordinary man could have persisted until now. Women still have more advantages in this kind of matter. When we return to Heaven Du City, I'll go back with you to meet your grandfather. Lin Chen played with her beautiful hair. Having known each other for so long, he had never been to the Yi family estate. He should have gone when they confirmed their relationship. Now that the two of them had already taken this step, it could no longer be delayed. Okay, forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Yi Lingling rolled over, pulled his arm over to pillow it under her neck. Then she hung onto his body. As if suddenly thinking of something, she propped up her head and looked at Lin Chen. What do you think of Du Guyan? Lin Chen couldn't help being stunned, turning his head to look at her with a somewhat guilty conscience. Why are you suddenly asking this? Yi Lingling said, although she hides it very well, I can sense that she likes you, only she is too embarrassed to say it because of her relationship with me. If you don't intend to have 3 wives and 4 concubines, then I won't mention it, but Shui Binger and the others are all fine, so Du Guyan isn't bad either, right? She was actually afraid she couldn't keep Shui Binger and her sister in check, so she wanted to pull her good best friend in to help. As best friends, the two had also been honest with each other. If it were together with Du Guyan, she could barely accept it. A stranger wouldn't really do. Hearing this, Lin Chen suddenly didn't know how to answer her. Saying yes would seem a bit, well, saying no, and he and Dugu Yan had already had a relationship. That means it's fine, leave it to me. As soon as her voice fell, she lay back down. Lin Chen. This damned feudal society. The two did not fall asleep, just chatting idly back and forth. Until the sky was slightly bright. Only then did the two get up, take a bath, put on their clothes, and walk out of the room. The others hadn't gotten up yet. The two didn't go call them either, but instead came to the hotel restaurant. Having fought hard for a night, their stomachs were a bit hungry. Just as they were finishing eating, Qin Ming and the others successively got up and came to the restaurant. Dugu Yan looked at Yi Lingling with winks and grimaces, causing a flush to rise uncontrollably on the latter's face, making her somewhat dare not look her straight in the eye. As for Lin Chen, his expression remained unchanged. Even though Dugu Yan occasionally cast eyes full of teasing. He also pretended not to see. After everyone had finished eating, led by Qin Ming, they left the hotel and headed straight for Shrek Academy, located outside the city. Chapter 124, Ning Rongrong's arrogance remains unchanged. Watching Dugu Yan and Yi Lingling pulling Ojiro and the others aside. Qin Ming was also dumbfounded. They could stand up for Lin Chen, or they could try to persuade him or Lin Chen. What was the meaning of clearing the area? Surely they didn't actually, naively think that Lin Chen could be his match. Something was wrong, extremely wrong. Dugu Yan and Yi Lingling actually had so much confidence in Lin Chen. Could he really? How was this possible? How old was he anyway? Even if he had started to cultivate right from his mother's womb, it was impossible for him to reach the Spirit Emperor level, right? Qin Ming clenched his fists tightly, his expression dark. Whether he made a move or not, he was completely trapped in an awkward spot. What should he do? What are you afraid to make a move? If you're afraid, why are you yelling nonsense? Lin Chen was still provoking him. A faint smile always lingered on his face, as if he didn't take the opponent seriously at all. Audacious. Beyond endurance, there was no need to endure any further. With a stern shout, Qin Ming raised his hand and punched straight at Lin Chen's face. Because the two of them were close to each other. Almost in a split second, his fist had already reached Lin Chen's face. The latter could even feel his fist wind. Bang! A muffled impact sounded, but Lin Chen was completely fine. On the contrary, Qin Ming's figure suddenly flew backward. After flying more a dozen meters, he landed in a disheveled state and rolled several times before stopping. Holding his stomach, Qin Ming curled up on the ground. He only felt cramps in his stomach, unable to muster even a shred of strength throughout his entire body. Look at you, didn't I say your school faction's practical combat experience is not so good? To actually dare to leave such a huge opening for me. What's up, do you take me for blind? Or did you think my speed was inferior to yours? Lin Chen said with a mocking face. As for Yi Lingling and the others, they were all staring at Lin Chen in stunned silence at this moment. Goodness gracious. They hadn't even seen clearly how Lin Chen made his move. Teacher Qin Ming had already flown out. That aside, just like that, a dignified spirit emperor couldn't even stand up. Just how great must Lin Chen's strength be? What's the situation? Xiaogang and the other two also arrived close by at this time, and Tang San asked Dai Mubai and the other who were dumbfounded. Dai Mubai swallowed hard, then looked at Tang San and said in a deliberately lowered voice, "That guy is Lin Chen, and the one who was hit is a spirit emperor." What? Tang San abruptly turned his head to look at Lin Chen, his expression full of disbelief. What kind of joke was this? They had only parted ways for a few years, and Lin Chen could already instantly kill a spirit emperor. Xiaogang was also full of shock. How could this be possible? Little San possessed twin spirits and innate full spirit power. Under the guidance of him, the #1 theoretical master in the Spirit Master's world, he had only barely stepped into the spirit elder realm. Yet that brat Lin Chen grew up wildly and could already fight a spirit emperor. How could this be possible? You must know that he was only 12 years old. No matter how much of a genius he was, it shouldn't be this outrageous, right? Something was wrong, extremely wrong. That brat definitely had secrets on him, otherwise his strength could never have improved so quickly. Xiaogang narrowed his eyes as he looked at Lin Chen. If he could get hold of the method for rapidly increasing strength and use it on little San, why would he worry about not gaining recognition from the Spirit Master's world? Ning Rongrong looked at Lin Chen with a puzzled expression. She felt that the name Lin Chen sounded a bit familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had heard it. Moreover, the opponent's appearance also gave her an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Until she saw Du Guyan and Yi Lingling. So it was him. Yi Lingling and Du Guyan were quite a bit older than Lin Chen. The changes over the years hadn't been that great. Recognizing the two of them, Ning Rongrong naturally recalled that fellow who caused her to get slapped by her father back at the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Only she never expected that fellow to actually have the strength to rival a spirit emperor. To have the strength to rival a spirit emperor at such a young age. Recalling her own past words, Ning Rongrong inexplicably felt her small face burning a little. With such a genius, why would he need to curry favor with anyone? Once his talent spread out, wouldn't major factions scramble to recruit him? Oi, are you okay? I haven't even used my full strength yet. Is it necessary to take this long to recover? Lin Chen called out to Qin Ming. Qin Ming struggled to get up. Only every single movement of his affected his internal injuries. An expression of pain involuntarily appeared on his face. You won. Qin Ming stood up and looked at Lin Chen through gritted teeth. Fight with his spirit activated. There was no need for that. Just now, he had almost lost the ability to resist. If Lin Chen were an enemy, he would already be dead. Moreover, the gap in basic strength was too huge. Even with his spirit activated, he couldn't possibly be Lin Chen's match and would only get beaten even more miserably. Lin Chen smiled contemptuously and turned to look at Dai Mubai and the others. Yo, isn't this the noble young Miss Rongrong? After a few years apart, why have you come running to play with lowly commoners? Lin Chen teased with a smile. Ning Rongrong. This damned fellow was still as annoying as ever. Lin Chen, don't forget that you yourself also originated from a commoner background. Tang San stepped forward. His surface strength might not be as good as Lin Chen's, but adding hidden weapons would make a difference. Furthermore, this was Shrek Academy. Flender and his father were both here. Lin Chen's bit of strength was not enough to look at. Lin Chen smiled and said, "You don't need to remind me. After all, the one who called commoners lowly wasn't me, but our noble young Miss Rongrong." Tang San. He turned to look at Ning Rongrong, only to see the latter's face turning completely red. Clearly, she really was the one who said those words. Lin Chen, don't think that being able to defeat a spirit emperor gives you the confidence to clamor with me. I want to crush you to death as easily as crushing an ant. In her extreme anger, Ning Rongrong's true nature was exposed once again. She stared fixedly at Lin Chen. On that face mixed with shame and anger, there was warning as well as threat. What did you say? Du Guyan looked at Ning Rongrong in utter shock, not understanding where she got this confidence from. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School was already in such a state, yet she still dared to be so arrogant. Du Guyan, don't think I'm really afraid of you. No matter how strong Du Gubo's group combat ability is, he is still just the weakest titled Douluo. If you push me too far. Her words weren't finished, but the threatening tone was very obvious. Du Guyan. Jilingaling. Lin Chen and the others were all dumbfounded. Where on earth did she get the confidence to talk tough to Du Guyan? Tang San's expression tightened. The opponent was actually the granddaughter of a titled Douluo, so he couldn't afford to provoke her. After all, his father had already dropped to the spirit saint level, and provoking a titled Douluo was an act of courting death. Yu Xiaogang's eyebrows also furrowed. Lin Chen actually had a good relationship with Du Gubo's granddaughter, so his previous thoughts would have to be reconsidered carefully. Dai Mubai subconsciously distanced himself from Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong herself didn't know, but they certainly did. The 7 treasure glazed tile school had already fallen into decline, yet Ning Rongrong dared to provoke the granddaughter of a titled Douluo, and moreover, the granddaughter of Du Gubo, who was known as invincible in group battles. Wasn't that purely courting death? Would you believe that with a single spirit ability, she could wipe out your 7 treasure glazed tile school from top to bottom completely? Chapter 125, Beating Up the Shrek Crowd. Qin Ming did not expect that Lin Chen actually knew his younger schoolmates, and he was even more surprised that Ning Rongrong had actually run over to Shrek Academy as well. That much could be overlooked. Given what a mess the 7 treasure glazed tile school had become, she actually still dared to provoke Du Guyan. Wasn't this purely courting death? Ning Rongrong, shut up. Hurry up and apologize to Du Guyan, otherwise the consequences are not something you can bear. Qin Ming shouted sternly. Du Guyan might not fear the 7 treasure glazed tile school, but he certainly did. No matter how much the 7 treasure glazed tile school had declined, it was still not something someone completely without background like him could provoke. Wanting to kill him would be even simpler than crushing an ant for them. Furthermore, Du Guyan and the others were brought here by him. If anything were to happen to Ning Rongrong because of this, the 7 treasure glazed tile school, not daring to trouble Du Guyan, would definitely vent their anger on him in the end. Besides, he did not want the people he brought to have any conflicts with Shrek. After all, this was his alma mater. What kind of thing do you think you are, daring to order me around? Ning Rongrong abruptly turned her head to look at Qin Ming. Qin Ming. It's Rongrong. Yu Xiaogang finally couldn't hold it in anymore, glaring fiercely at Ning Rongrong. HMPH. Seeing this, Ning Rongrong couldn't help letting out a cold snort, and then closed her mouth. Wait a minute. Lin Chen's gaze swept back and forth across the faces of Yu Xiaogang, Dai Mubai, and the others. Only finally looking towards Ning Rongrong. You couldn't possibly still not know what happened to the 7 treasure glazed tile school, right? Although this thought was absurd, apart from this possibility, Lin Chen really couldn't think of any other reason that could make Ning Rongrong still so arrogant. Although she had a bit of a princess disease, it didn't mean she was a fool. What do you mean? Ning Rongrong furrowed her brows tightly, subconsciously looking towards Yu Xiaogang. All right, give me some face, let this matter end here. Yu Xiaogang did not reply, but instead stepped forward and said to Lin Chen. Lin Chen. Where did this damn bastard get such baffling confidence from? What kind of face did he even have? Lin Chen's figure flashed, appearing in front of Yu Xiaogang almost instantly. Slap! A crisp slapping sound echoed in the air, and Yu Xiaogang was instantly knocked to the ground with a slap. Daring to hit my teacher, you have already chosen a path to your own death. Tang San flew into a great rage, subconsciously raising his right hand to aim at Lin Chen. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 arrows pierced through the air, directly striking the head of Lin Chen not far away. But then Lin Chen's figure moved. Immediately following that, countless illusory afterimages appeared in everyone's eyes. The next second, Lin Chen had already appeared in front of Tang San, raising his hand with a slap. Slap! Tang San's body flew sideways, blood and falling teeth flying out from his mouth. Bang, bang, bang! He fell to the ground, rolling several circles before dissipating the remaining force. Bus! Just as Tang San was about to start cursing, a terrifying force violently slammed into his abdomen. Bang! Tang San slid flat across the ground for more than 10 meters, smashing the academy's wooden fence into pieces. Seeing this, Ning Rongrong immediately released her spirit. Only before she could release her spirit ability, Du Guyan had already rushed in front of her. Bang! A solid punch landed squarely on Ning Rongrong's cheek, causing her to fly sideways, just like Tang San had moments before, rolling a few circles on the ground as well. Zhu Zhuqing wanted to move, but was grabbed by Dai Mubai. He shook his head at Zhu Zhuqing, signaling her not to act impulsively. Trash! Zhu Zhuqing abruptly shook off his hand, and 2 yellow spirit rings suddenly emerged from beneath her feet. Do you take us for non-existent? Seeing this, Ojiro and the others successively released their spirits, blocking in front of her. Spirit Elder, all of them were Spirit Elders. Seeing this situation, Zhu Zhuqing's expression instantly turned ugly. How was this supposed to be fought? Enemy attack. Seeing this, Dai Mubai couldn't help it either, letting out a sharp shout as his spirit power surged. Ever since he lost a man's dignity, he could be said to be utterly disheartened, and deep down, a trace of hatred towards Tang San had even grown. If it weren't to save him, how could Flender and Zhao Wuji have gone out? If Flender and Zhao Wuji hadn't gone out, where would all those subsequent things have happened? Zhao Wuji was dead, Oscar and Ma Hongzhen were also dead, and he had even lost a man's dignity. All of this was because of Tang San. Tang San getting beaten up, what did that have to do with him? However, if Zhu Zhuqing insisted on pressing forward, then naturally he couldn't just sit by and do nothing. It was just that going head-on was unwise. Whether it was Lin Chen or Ojiro and the others, they couldn't beat any of them. Calling for backup was the absolute truth. Dai Mubai's sharp shout instantly alarmed Flender and the others. They all rushed toward the academy entrance in unison. Tang Hao, however, did not move. He was still lying on his reclining chair, basking in the sun. Although his realm had dropped, his mental force would not drop along with the realm, so he had already sensed the conflict at the academy entrance long ago. Of course, Douluo Bo, hiding in the dark, also failed to escape the capture of his mental force. With Douluo Bo around, how dared he make a move? As long as he didn't release his spirit rings, no one would be able to discover that he had already dropped to a spirit saint. That way, he could still use his mental force to deter Douluo Bo in the dark. If he dared to make a move bullying the younger generation with his seniority, then all of them would probably die today. Mind your boundaries, don't bully the younger generation with seniority. To be on the safe side, Tang Hao even specially sent a voice transmission to remind Flender and the others. As soon as Flender and the others arrived at the academy entrance, they saw Lin Chen swinging both fists left and right, fiercely outputting against Tang San and Xiaogang at the same time, beating both of them until their eyes rolled back. Du Guyan was also straddling Ning Rongrong, pounding away frantically. They didn't understand why Tang San had been beaten into such a state, yet Tang Hao could still endure it, and even told them not to bully the younger generation with seniority. Was Tang San really his biological son? Stop! Flender let out a sharp shout, and the spirit power pressure of the spirit saint grade pressed straight toward Lin Chen. Lin Chen, stop! Seeing that Flender and the others had arrived, Qin Ming found it hard to keep playing dead. Qin Ming! Flender and the others glanced sideways at the sound, only then noticing his existence. Dean Flender, long time no see. Qin Ming wore a bitter smile, momentarily not knowing what to say. Bang! Lin Chen delivered a heavy punch, slamming into Tang San's temple. Tang San's consciousness instantly plunged into endless darkness. Only then did Lin Chen stand up, expressionlessly returning to Yi Lingling's side. Hubby is amazing. Yi Lingling giggled as she delivered a sweet kiss, then hugged his arm, tightly pressing the softness in front of her chest against his arm. Lin Chen. Flender's gaze scanned around Tang San, Xiaogang, and Ning Rongrong, and then looked at Qin Ming with a gloomy face. Shouldn't you give me an explanation? He really didn't expect that a student cultivated by their Shrek would one day bring his own students to smash Shrek's place. Had that damn bastard's conscience been eaten by dogs? While Flender was questioning Qin Ming, Xiao Xin hurriedly released his spirit, condensing a few sugar beans, and fed them one by one to Tang San, Xiaogang, and Ning Rongrong. Qin Ming wanted to speak but stopped, momentarily not knowing how to explain. The people were brought by him, what could he say? That's it for today's chapter. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe to Infinite Novel Audio. For more stories, Check out my other channel AI Otaku Studio, and I'll see you in the next chapter.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to Infinite Novel Audio, and don't forget to check out AI Otaku Studio for more amazing content. See you in the next adventure.